Hello, it's me. It's time for video game. Doing my best today. Not feeling super great. It might be a bit more of a chill, low-key sort of stream, but I guess I'm always kind of those. But it's probably, I feel like it'll be good for me to know that I can push through it and do this anyway. If that makes any sense. Discord is insisting that I'm not streaming. But that's fine. And so we wait in line. It's me. Hi. I love you too. Hello. That's a nice Chrono Trigger emote. Also, this is a fun way to confirm that the streaming program that I use, when I tell it to show me the list of viewers, it does not display everyone who's actually viewing. So not only is the number it gives me inaccurate when I don't have it hidden, but the list of people is also inaccurate. Great. Great computer. Sucro's not very scary right now. She might get a Halloween costume later. They're probably going to do a Halloween event as well. I need to get to the point where I can complete the current event within the next 12 days, or else I will miss a chance to get a car and a cool clothing. Hopefully I can get that far. Otherwise I'll be sad. I mean, well, there are other cool things I can drive and wear. But still, the cool car also has practical purpose because it's a 4-person vehicle, meaning you can drive people around with it. I believe it's the first one they added to the game that had that much seating capacity. Regardless, our goals today take us first to Limsalominsa, because I am now level 60, meaning that I can unlock my favorite job in the game, the dancer. At least it was my favorite job last time I played a lot. Well, you see, Isa, that depends on how many other people are riding, because I believe if only 2 people are riding in Noctis's cool car, it defaults to putting the second person in the front passenger seat. I don't believe you can choose where you're sitting. I could be completely wrong on this. It sure is noisy around here. So what I'm saying is that you'd have to be the 3rd or 4th person to enter the car in order to be in the back seat. Plus, whether or not you identify as a gamer is up to you. There are a lot of variables to consider. My joke is that I'm overanalyzing your joke, you see. So, God, that's true. It's a good vehicle for that. I don't think you can get a banana in this game. So, wait. Is this... No. Where is the dancer quest? I thought it was in the lower decks. Oh wait, no, this is the upper decks. I'm silly. I went to the wrong location. So if we go to the lower decks, we cannot in fact see any quest icons unless we're there. I could get a bandana. That would be possible. I had a brief moment of, oh god, what if I actually can't unlock Dancer yet? What if I have to get to a certain point in the story? But I don't think they do that with job quests anymore. Okay, let's take a look at the map again before we panic. Arcanist? There it is. So I have to go back to the noisy plaza. There are some parts of the crowd noise in this game that I've heard so many times that they sound like actual words and sentences. As I've mentioned before, someone says, sounds like they're saying like, something about I can eat all of them. Someone else in the crowd noises sound like they're saying just because they're in the front tray doesn't mean you can't have any. It's a very specific set of words, and I don't know what it means. Shall we dance? This lamentsome gentleman appears just a tad too excited about something. Good madam, oh good madam, you can spare a moment, yes? Of course you can. You see, I've just witnessed a performance most marvelous, and I simply must tell someone about it. What sort of performance, you ask? Why, none other than a troupe of traveling dancers, hailing from Radzatan across the sea. I dare say their bold, exotically beautiful motions are like nothing our realm has ever seen. Adventurers like you are always on the lookout for stimulating new experiences, are you not? You simply must witness the spectacle for yourself. Just follow this road towards the convent of the Dutiful Sisters, and you'll run smack dab into the stage they set up in the square. Suddenly, rock guitar's quest accepted theme that you'll understand the context of much later. It makes Dancer sound really dramatic, doesn't it? That's because they added it in the Shadowbringers expansion. Hello. Welcome. It's time for dancing. Rana amigo. Greetings, traveler. Come to see our little show, have you? On behalf of Troop Falsium, I welcome you. My troopmates are seeing to the final preparations even as we speak. Don't wander too far, the curtain will be rising any minute now. It's been quite some time since we brought our art to these shores, so our fearless leader tells us. I've been practicing day and night ever since we arrived to bring you and your countrymen the performance of a lifetime. She's also a cat, you see. Wait for the show to begin, it says. Ah, destination, of course. There's also someone over there dressed like 2B a little bit, with a Nearpod. Sukro is waiting to be impressed. So close and yet so far. For all who cannot make the voyage to our home, we bring our art to yours. Hailing from Radzatan across the sea, I present the incomparable, transcendent Troop Falsium. Today we have prepared a sumptuous feast for your eyes and ears. Let the soaring melodies and the stirring, striking steps of our dancers reach your heart and spirit you away to a distant world. ... Hey look, it's the level 80 dancer artifact gear. Some of the expressions and sounds and faces, I said that already. Some of the things the NPCs in the crowd do in this scene are very silly. Hey, by the way, do you like Final Fantasy IX? I like Final Fantasy IX. Do you like the flamenco from that game? ... She's been. Just the crowd reactions. Sukro is smiling a little bit. Yes, just so, Rama. Betray not your trembling heart. Dance your dance to the last and let them fall under your spell. They try to make it seem really ominous for a second, but it's not. What? Sukro is the only person who hears this. My apologies. I did not mean to intrude upon your experience. Pray ignore my mutterings and enjoy the girl's performance. She's trained quite hard for this day, after all. Gasp. Arms fold. I'm a cat. What's up? Grin. They try to make this lady seem really menacing for some reason. I must say, you carry yourself with a certain grace, don't you? But do excuse me, I forget myself. Sukro's concerned. That would be kind of cool and less obvious. That's true. She clapped. Do you mean like her fashion style, or just her general style? Or all of it? Yeah. I think I will be changing outfits per expansion, because the NPCs do that. Forgive me for not having properly introduced myself. I am Nashmeira, I think, principal dancer and leader of Troop Falsium. Rana, the girl whose performance you are admiring, is my #1 student and protege. This may seem a bit forward, but pray tell, have you ever harbored aspirations of stepping on stage? Of losing yourself in a whirlwind of music and motion, and enchanting your audience with your every movement? Gasp. Forgive me, I know this is all quite sudden, and yet I could not help myself. From the first moment I laid eyes on you, I saw, how can I put it, a poise that could only be honed on the field of battle. Yes, there's no doubt in my mind you would make a fine dancer. I see you're confused, and for a good reason. Allow me to explain. There are forms of dance meant merely to grace a stage, and then there is the art of Troop Falsium. We dance the Kriegstands, a dance of war so ancient it said to predate even the founding of our city. Our dancers train primarily in 2 techniques, each with applications both ornamental and martial. For one, we're proficient in tossing throwing weapons, which are most dazzling to the eyes, and even more damaging to any unfortunate foes they strike. The second is, of course, dancing itself. Perhaps you've already felt it. But it's believed that there are mystical powers to our movements, which can serve to heighten senses, lift spirits, and drive weakness and worry from people's hearts. The people of Eorzea have done well to rebuild this realm in the calamity's wake, yet there are scars that still go unhealed, and the specter of war still looms large over the land. If our art of dance might serve in some small way to ease worries and fears, and offer succor to the hearts of Eorzeans far and wide, Nothing would bring our humble troop greater honor, and so did I decide to lead Troop Falsium on a tour of this realm. There is, however, a bit of a rub. We've come with only 2 dancers, Rana and myself, and I'm still nursing an injury I suffered on the voyage over. My protégée is a talented one, but I can hardly ask her to bear the burden of our tour alone, and so I felt compelled to reach out to you. I can assure you that the arrangement would be to our mutual benefit. Should you offer us your aid, I will personally instruct you in the art of the creek stands, an art that will avail you not only on the stage, but on the field of battle as well. Worry not. I will not force you to rush your decision. We must begin rehearsal for our next performance. Do give some thought to my offer, and seek me out again should you be so inclined. So that hinted a little bit at why I love Dancer. It's not just the mechanics of it, though it does feel like mechanically the job that makes the most sense to me. It just clicks most. Dancing is all about just doing what you can to make everyone's lives a little bit better. And I'm going to get emotional thinking about it and like doing these quests, just so you know. Thank you ever so much. I could see you cheering me on to the final curtain call. It's always a bit scary coming to new lands, but that just makes a successful performance like today's all the more satisfying. I could not help but notice that our fearless leader took an interest in you. While we do not lack for talented dancers, Rana is certainly one of them, none can hold a candle to Nashmeira. She's our pillar of strength, our guarding star. You return, friend. Have you taken the time to think over my offer? Yes. I'm a cat, and I'm gonna dance. Splendid. To tell the truth, I feared your answer would be no, but fortune smiles upon Troop Falsium today. As principal dancer and company leader, allow me to officially welcome you to our ranks. Wait, don't tell me. Nashmeira has handpicked you to join our troop and become a dancer. Is Rana right, or is Rana right? Nod. I knew it! I haven't been doing this for as long as Mistress Nashmeira, but even I can see that your poison posture is anything but ordinary. Don't get your hopes up too high. You're gonna have to work your arse off to outshine Rana Migo. Let it suffice to say that I will be watching both of your careers with great interest. Oh, but where are my manners? I haven't even asked my student her name. Sucro Funk. An elegant name indeed. If you say so. But very well then, Sucro. This is for you. This crystal houses the amassed knowledge and memories of generations of our forebears, butterflies of the battlefield, who fluttered their way into history and legend. Take it and treasure it. And of course, you'll also be needing a change of clothes. Here, this outfit should do. Go ahead, put it on. You'll be amazed at the freedom of movement the pliant fabric affords you. Now, I'm going to play along and use the starting dancer look, at least for the opening quest lines. Don't think too hard about that leitmotif. We won't be seeing that for a while either. So, step 1, open the fun box. Soft Stepper's attire. Step 2, switch weapon, which immediately makes all of my armor fall off. And then recommended gear. So this is the starting dancer gear. This is identical to some of the glamour gear that exists in the game. You can adjust the visor to take that part of the headgear away. And you can also just remove the headgear should you choose. This is basically what most of these people are wearing, so... I see this person has also decided to become a dancer just now. Let's add a new gear set. All of this stuff is item level 255. Well, not all of it, I guess. Well, all of the stuff that was in the coffer, anyway. So this is also very good gear. Like, the best you can get for this level. Pretty much. And also, since I was a dancer main on my other character and I copied all of my configuration over. Well, first of all, we have the dancer weapon drawn idle pose. Very confident looking. Since all of my information was transferred over, I have my HUD exactly as it was. And also my various arrangements of skills and whatnot. I might configure this a little bit more at some point, but unlike Samurai when I took that job, I know how to play this one. So I'll know what I'm doing, for the most part. I am, of course, not able to do a lot of it right now, as there's no combat happening, but I can dance. When you dance, you go into a mode where some of your basic attacks turn into buttons you have to press in the order that they light up. So you get like a mini Simon Says type mini game. And I think that's really neat. It adds a different element to the gameplay of it. And a lot of the gameplay of Dancer is also, well, see, this attack, for example, Cascade, has a 50% chance of granting Flourishing Cascade, which means that it might unlock one of these attacks here. Well, I forget exactly which one it is, but this one over here unlocks the other one. Cascade combos into Fountain, but both of them can trigger, I assume Cascade would trigger Reverse Cascade, and Fountain would trigger Fountain Fall. And Dancer's a lot like this. There's a lot of sort of RNG proc-based stuff going on in the class. There's also, like, you start generating things called Fourfold Feathers, which you can use to use the fan dance skills that are over here. At least 1 and 2. And then when you use 1 or 2, you have a chance of being able to use 3. And so on. So Dancer is, like, it's kind of a reactive class. You push buttons when they light up. And you have to... The optimization of it is knowing, like, the priority and how much you can squeeze in at any given time and making all of your buffs and things line up. There's kind of some DDR, yeah. So, I've heard some people say Dancer is the easiest job to play in the game, which does make me feel a little bad, because I'm prone to feeling bad when I feel like I'm just taking the easy way out. But I've also seen other people say, like, everything else is the easiest job in the game, except for, like, Ninja and Summoner. Like, a lot of the jobs people are going to say, that's the easiest one. And what's easy for one person won't be easy for another person. It is the easiest job for me that I know of. But it's fun, it's comfortable to play as. I feel like I'm doing something helpful when I'm a dancer. And I just have to try and not think about how everyone's going to be like, oh, you're playing the easy class for baby childs. Though no one actually says that, I think. Regardless, gamboling for Gil. Unfortunately, the Dancer questline at the start does involve a particular character who we've met already, who I hate, but we'll see that momentarily. I am a dancer. That's also true. I've trained many a dancer in my day, but I cannot recall ever having seen the crystal take to one of our new recruits so quickly. Truly, there's prodigious talent within you, just waiting to be untapped. I've never seen anything like it either. Why, at this rate, she might even be able to challenge me for the position of Troop Falsium's Rising Star. Ron Amigo is... I like all the dancer characters also. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Rana. But yes, with Sucro in our ranks, our ultimate goal might at long last be within reach. Before that, however, I should share with you the full details of our planned itinerary. As I may have mentioned, we've traveled to these shores with two purposes: to share our time-honored art with Eorzeans far and wide, and in doing so, to do our part to help heal any lingering scars left by the calamity. Limsa was the first stop on our tour of the realm. This leaves us with 4 destinations: Ul'dah, Gridania, Ishgard, and finally Alamigo. And yet, Ishgard's gates remain shuttered to the outside world, and Alamigo continues to struggle for freedom from its Garlean masters. This dialogue box right here can change a lot depending on where you are in the story and what you've done. Much of the Dancer dialogue actually will, and probably a lot of dialogue for other job quests too. Because Ishgard's gates might not be shuttered to the outside world, or Alamigo might not still be struggling for freedom. Spoilers. But for now they are. So this is interesting because I've never done this before being at Shadowbringers, I guess. Needless to say, well, that's not exactly true. I did it in between Stormblood and Shadowbringers story-wise. Needless to say, we will be putting off our performance in those nations until such a time as we can be certain that our presence will be welcome. And so, by process of elimination, the next 2 destinations in our tour are all but decided. However, there's another important matter we must attend to before we set off. Finding ourselves a patron willing to sponsor our jaunt across the realm, yes? Precisely. With what little coin remains in our coffers after the long journey, we can scarce afford to put on humble productions like the one Sucro just witnessed. We must find someone who will spare no expense in helping us bring our art to every corner of Eorzea. Fortunately, I've learned of someone who might be suited to that role. An acquaintance of mine in these lands, a songstress no less, introduced me to an influential merchant who considers it his life's work to promote daring new forms of creative expression in the realm over. The man in question has all but agreed to fund our tour on one condition. We must grace him with a private performance, and he must deem it to be a true artistic revolution, unlike anything he's seen before. An artistic revolution? That sounds like an awfully tall order. I'm a cat. Indeed it is. After all, an aesthete, is that the word, of such renown has surely seen a Near Eastern dancer too in his day. So I asked myself, what could we possibly show this man that would truly awe and inspire him? Long did I struggle to come up with an answer, but no longer. Sucro, you will take the stage with Rana and transform into a full-fledged dancer before this man's very eyes. Yes, I call it a flower blooms on the battlefield. Surprise. Yes, it's all coming to me now. For the final act, Rana here will play the role of a formidable foe, unleashing a fearsome array of steps and twirls against you. You'll fend them off, retaliating with flourishes of your own, in a dramatic dance battle for the ages. Sucro and I taking the stage together, my tail is tingling with excitement just thinking about it. And through our battle, we'll show our would-be patron that our art is more than just for show. It's positively perfect. I know it's your first performance, but you needn't worry. Nashmeira and I will be right there with you. Just follow our lead, let the music carry you, and I'm sure our performance will knock this bigwig merchant's socks off. Nod. Yep, it's a tutorial. Rana speaks true. I would not have invited you into our ranks if I did not know you were capable of what I ask. And so let us not delay any further. Our audience awaits us in a place called, Costa del Sol. It's Gegaruju again, that motherfucker. Though we might not have seen truly how much that guy sucks yet. I do hate him. And this does mean I'll have to bust out the Hotel Mario voice again. There's no avoiding it. Those sound like lyrics to something I should remember, but I don't remember what they're lyrics to. It's probably like a Steven Universe or something. I don't know if that's true. My memory is not so good, in many ways. Well, is everybody ready for more dancing? We'll get to show how the class actually works in combat. Oh, and while I'm here, I got a vehicle. This is Magitek Sky Armor. It's from Final Fantasy VI. You can get it for 20,000 wolf marks, which you earn from doing PvP. So now I can putt around in a funny machine, if I want to. It's especially funny to have this machine when you don't actually have access to real flight yet. So it's not much of a sky armor as much of a slightly above ground armor. You're the leave person. That person is named Olive Garlean. That's very impressive as a name. Yesterday I saw someone named Bill Nye Defiant Sky. I'm glad that this person is Tank for Coil. That's very straightforward of them. I'm glad that the world of Famfrit has many great player names in it. The success of our Eorzean tour, and perhaps the very future of our troupe as a whole, depends on what this fellow thinks of us. You bet I'm dressed for the occasion. Excellent. My 2 rising stars are here, and we can finally get the show on the road. But first, we should pay our respects to our patron-to-be, Master Gegaruju. Come with me. Master Gegaruju doesn't deserve any respect, but he does deserve the Hotel Mario voice, so get ready for that to come back again. There's no avoiding it. It's simply unavoidable. Also, he's not wearing any socks, so how can his socks be blown off? Master Gegaruju, it's a pleasure and an honor to be invited to your lovely estate. I'm Nashmira, leader and principal dancer of Troupe Falsium, and I stand before you today with 2 of my most promising protégés. Simultaneous bow. Yes, that's not the Hotel Mario voice at all. Yes, yes, welcome and all. Doll, take me, is that you, Titan's Bane? That's kind of Hotel Mario voice. Moonlighting as a dancer these days, eh, Luigi? Are you? I must admit, I thought adventuring was more lucrative than that. If you get here before you beat Titan, Gegaruju says something about how you just have some kind of look to you. It's kind of vague. Mind you, when you're as wealthy as me, the best is a given. I won't be content with merely a masterful performance. I want to see something daring, something profound, something the likes of which this realm has never seen. I trust you're up to the task. We would let your eyes be the judge of that, Master Gegaruju. For today, Costa del Sol will be the venue for the inaugural performance of Troupe Falsium's newest production. I call it A Flower Blooms on the Battlefield. We didn't rehearse it at all, but it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Another fun fact about the Dancer quest is that the dialogue that ensues during this portion of the quest changes significantly depending on if you suck during it or not. Like, if you do really badly, Gegeruju just makes fun of you, basically. This is our chance. If we win over Master Gegeruju, our coffers will be flowing over. Break a leg out there, Sukro. Not literally, of course. Fear not, Sukro. I will guide you every step of the way. Cast your worries from your heart, and let your body be as one with the music, and all will be well. Your very first performance, and already you're taking center stage. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Your first opponent will be a training mannequin designed specifically to hone an aspiring dancer's skills. Breathe deeply, move with purpose, and it'll be a breeze. At the same time, always remember that the Krieg stands as a dance of war. I know you're among friends here, but I want you to imagine yourself on the battlefield, leaping and twirling through a legion of foes. Now let's knock this Master Gegeruju out of his 100,000 gil stockings that he's not wearing. Are you ready? Gegeruju has never worn socks or anything equivalent to them in his life. Probably. That's it, the fire in your eyes. This is the chance of our lifetimes. So let the same passion burn in your heart and hold nothing back. Let the curtain rise. Here's another fun fact about this quest, is that when Shadowbringers released, which included this job, is when I learned that my computer had an overheating problem, and it took me several tries to even get through this because my computer crashed multiple times before I figured out I should adjust the fans manually. So this dance brings the heat, in a way, I guess you could say. You still lack for experience, this I know, but take heart. I have crafted this performance specifically to draw out your innate talent, step by precious step. Follow my lead and you'll feel yourself transforming into a full-fledged dancer before you even know it. Lose yourself in the music, let the passion in your heart take over, and you will move as you've never moved before. Yes, you are the flower on this battlefield, and today you will blossom. Motivational poster. Time to inexplicably play an entire band of instruments with a single harp again. Though honestly, bards can kind of do that, because their harps can be a harp, a piano, a fiddle being plucked, a lute. Duty commenced, though. First thing about Dancer. You'll want to execute what we call a closed position and choose me as your partner. Once you've chosen a partner, you'll be able to invigorate them through your dancing. That was the wrong button. So as a dancer, you can choose a dance partner. And having a dance partner means that certain things share effects and whatnot. There's also dialogue I'm missing. Finally, it's time for the show. This had better be all I've heard it to be. Best you're not getting a single coin on my gill. No pressure, huh? Alright, Sukro, let's begin with the basics. Commence your dance and make 2 standard steps and finish it off with a double standard finish. So this is the famed troupe Falsium. Perhaps your reputation was well deserved after all. That's it. Can you feel the power welling up from within you? Now it's my turn. So she's demonstrating a later thing that Dancer gets, the technical step, which is the same except you do 4 and it has a bigger cooldown, a bigger burst of damage, a bigger effect. We're just getting warmed up, aren't we? Gegeruju wants to see more, so go ahead and show him what you've got. Oh, I have to do it again. Whoops. I never knew that the Easter dance was so alluring. Not bad at all, but you must show me more. More, I say. That voice is losing. I'm losing it. But see, Master Gegeruju is warmed up to you. Next, show him what you can do with this mannequin here. Behold, my protege will now put on a show with this dancing doll. Watch as she fends off its mighty magics. Nothing like a good battle to get the blood pumping. So right, now we get to see Dancer combat. We throw twin chakrams. We do the fan dance. For Dancer, The AoE functions basically the same as the single target, so it's very easy to get used to. It does the same things for you, it works in the same patterns and whatnot. In addition to being a buff, the finishing part of a dance, if you've done the dance right. Elegant and deadly, I do believe I approve. Thanks, Mario. The burst on the finish is actually like the highest single potency damage in the entire game, I think. Dancer overall has a low DPS, but their big burst moves have some of the highest individual amounts of damage that you can see. It's interesting. And they benefit other people. Their regular stuff is a little bit less potent. But it's easy to get a handle on for me, at least. Also, I just think throwing chakrams that do fancy effects are really cool. That's a good woodworking joke, I think. I'm distracted by the game. Time for you and Rana to take the stage together. A duel of two dances, you say? That's what I came to see. Rana there is demonstrating en avant, which is a thing that Dancer can also do. Which is basically a movement utility, which is something that's pretty unique. So now we're dueling Rana here. That's the don't look at me skill. This can be a little bit difficult as a tutorial if you don't know how the class works, because they do kind of just throw you in. I think this is a go as far as you can one. Such beauty, such grace! You never get to actually make whirlwinds or fire explosions, so I don't know what the heck Rana's doing in that regard. You also have a small cure and a small, like, defense bonus for both you and the party. This is also a fight that's demonstrating how AoEs and stuff are gonna get more complex later on. Since this was designed for Shadowbringers, the most recent as of now expansion, until Endwalker comes out. So there are going to be more complicated things you have to do in fights, and more indicators you have to know. I am as the raging waves crashing against the shore. Rana is very dramatic. You don't get, like, elemental dance moves, so I don't know what she's doing. You can also see a fundamental thing you have to know about this game, which is that, when the AoE indicator goes away is, like, when the move hits. It's not during the graphics of it, so I can stand in things that look like they would hurt, but actually they don't. En avant is really good for getting out of the way of things. I guess you could probably also use it to get closer to things if you needed to for some reason. Ah, I'm gonna finish with the finisher. Bam. Inconceivable! I've never seen anything like him! I forgot he had one of the novelty party poppers in this scene. But you can get those. That's an item that you, the player, can have. I think I have like a stack of 1 billion of them on my other character. But yeah, that's sort of an overview of what Dancer is like. And you'll be seeing a lot more of it, because it's my favorite right now. Are you sure that was your first time up on stage? I could swear I was watching a veteran up there. I couldn't take my eyes off you for a moment. Smile. But hey, my moves were nothing to sneeze at either, right? Of course, all the flashy lights were just for show. I set them up beforehand. Oh, she was just doing special effects moves like you do in Final Fantasy IX near the time that song plays, I guess. Just to liven up her performance, you know. Surprise. But enough about me. This was your day to shine. If that meant me playing the villain for a day, so be it. I'm just proud to have played my part in helping your talents bloom. God, I love the whole sentiment of the Dancer questline so much. Except for this guy. Now that was a sight to behold! A bold young woman taking on one fearsome foe after the next and transforming into a masterful dancer before my very eyes. I do believe I've not seen anything quite like it. Bow. Well, at least he's not too terribly lecherous or evil. Except he's about to be, I think. Your words do us great honor, Master Gegeruju. Might we also count on you to loosen your purse strings and sponsor Troop Falseum on our tour across the fair realm? Your fair realm? It is true, of course, that your troupe deserves a far wider audience. And yet, your performance moved me, so that I just couldn't bear to part with you so soon. I must say, I found myself particularly smitten with the young kitten who played the villain's role. Rana, was it? Perhaps I could interest you in signing a contract to be one of my personal dancers. I can promise you that it'd be a lucrative one. This is when Gegeruju starts being evil a little bit. Why, you flatter me, Master Gegeruju, but I fear I'm still in training. I can't very well leave Miss Nashmaira's side until our tour is complete. Is that so now? No, this simply won't do. I'm afraid your rejection is so devastating me that I simply don't have it in me to fund your little excursion after all. You can't be serious. You gave us your word. He won't take no for an answer. What should we do, Sucro? And this is also a very good set of dialogue options. You are altering the deal? Or, we can do this the easy way. Or... So yeah, there's a bit of a Star Wars here. If you alter it any further, I'm gonna kill you. You're altering the deal? What's that supposed to mean? Stop looking at me like that. You're scaring me. I never took you dancers to be such a bloody serious lot. I meant only to express how utterly enthralled I was by your peerless performance. You provided me with precisely the sort of bold and audacious artistic revolution I sought. As per our deal, I'm more than happy to offer you the financial backing you so clearly deserve. We are most grateful, Master Gegeruju. Truly, your aesthetic sensibilities are matched only by your boundless generosity. By your leave, we shall begin preparing for our forthcoming performance in Ul'dah. Wait, I mean, if I might make just one small request. I ask not that you sign an exclusive contract, only that one of you sojourn here as my honored guest and entertain me for a spell. In return, in addition to my patronage, I promise I'll deliver you a personal letter of recommendation to the Syndicate on your behalf. Well, I do believe that sounds like a mutually beneficial arrangement. In that case, Master Gegeruju, you may have the pick of any of my troupe, excepting Sucro, of course. Then the deal is done! I'd be more than content with the lovely Miss Rana here. Leave the negotiations with the Syndicate to me. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing every move in your repertoire. The pleasure is mine, Master Gegaruju, and please introduce me to your personal dancing girls as well. I'm sure there's so much they could teach me about the art of dance in Eorzea. Oh, Rana, you innocent child. I don't know how old you are. You innocent cat. I was worried there for a moment, but all's well that ends well. I'll go and share the good news with the others. Pray come along if you'd like. And so we threatened Master Gegaruju, and that's good, because fuck that guy. And I don't have to do the Hotel Mario voice again for a while. Unless people redeem that particular chat option, or channel points thing. I think you can find... I think Rana's around here somewhere. Oh no, it was redeemed because I said it would be. I want to find Ranamigo. And I guess I have to give her the voice now. She has something fun to say about Gegaruju, I think. Oh yeah, I have Peloton again. She's here somewhere, isn't she? Well, I think she says something about the state of dress of the dancing girls that I can agree with. So I'm just curious. I read the some of the dialogue for the Dancer Quest again recently, before I started playing again. Which is how I know that. Anyone else around here even? Not really. Oh well. Maybe she's about to be somewhere. Oh right, I can just ride things here. I can just use Chocobo. Oops. I don't have to keep sprinting. I'm not exaggerating, friend. That was the first performance for the ages. Now, Schmeider's eye for talent has never led us astray, but I had no idea you'd realize your potential so quickly. Bravo, I say. Bravo. God, my throat. And that was the text box. When Master Gegaruju started insisting on taking Rana from us, I thought all our efforts were for naught. But it seems we've come away with everything we bargained for and then some. And it's all thanks to you. It really was quite remarkable how he changed his tune after you gave him just a single glance. Clearly you possess remarkable powers of persuasion. Awoo! The awoo was redeemed. I need to think of more channel point rewards too. At any rate, I suppose a short sojourn here could benefit us all. Rana seems eager to get to know the dancers here, and I must attend to administrative tasks before our next performance. In the meantime, why don't you put your newfound skills to the test? I suspect you'll be quite pleased with how well they serve you. That's a leitmotif that you won't hear for a while. Every time that happens from a job quest, I'm bound to bring it up, because it's the first thing I think of. Let me see if she's around here somewhere now. I don't know where she would be. I mean, it would make the most sense if she was nearby Gegaruju. Doing a very good job at basic movement. I swore I read dialogue that Rana has at this part of the game. Maybe it's after you accept the next quest, too. Anything is possible. Can't get over there. Maybe she's just hanging out somewhere in the actual town part. Maybe not. Oh well. Regardless, that was the introduction to Dancer. Where am I supposed to go next? Regardless of where I'm supposed to go next, I will actually go to town, because it is time to return to the Canon Sucro outfit. Once we load. Well, this hasn't loaded yet, but it will in a second. There we go. Put my hat back on. And now Sucro is Dancer. In the way she should be. One problem with the Dancer weapons is that they kind of clip through everything because they're on your hips. I mean, they work well enough with this outfit at least. But it will make future outfits difficult, perhaps. Now, yeah, I'll go ahead and continue on the story, why not? Apparently, I haven't had enough of reading dialogue for right now. I mean, that's kind of what I do all the time. So, before I started streaming today, I wasn't feeling great. I didn't think I would be able to stream. But, like, I like having the Dancer job enough that it made me want to stream so that I could have it. And also, like, I wanted to stream just to see if I could, like, push myself through the bad feelings. It seems like it's working. So that's good. What's this guy doing? Oh, he's doing a cool move. Show me your cool spear move again. Yeah! Good going, guy. You've come in search of Vortifart. Oh, right, that name. Vortifart. Christ. Then well met, for you've found him. Indeed, I've served as a whaler for many years, since before the Great Snows came to coerthas. What exactly is this about? Ah, the final flight of the Enterprise. I do indeed remember that day. Tell me about the cool boat. 'Twas on the eve of the Battle of Cartano, nigh on 5 years ago. I held the spire alone that night, while the bulk of our forces marched to meet the enemy in the field. Then all of a sudden, the most frantic airship I'd ever seen splits the sky overhead. I could only watch in shock as it disappeared over the mountains to the northwest. If the Enterprise wasn't destroyed during the calamity, I'd wager it's still somewhere in coerthas. The astrologians at the observatorium may have records which could help, but to observe them you would need to deal with the ishgardians who control the region. I wouldn't expect much, though. The high houses have long been concerned for their own affairs above all else. When Dalamud descended, they took shelter behind their gates, and even now they have little regard for the plights of other nations. Nevertheless, they may deign to assist you should you prove yourself useful. Consider providing your services to the soldiers who guard the observatorium. Though they may refuse you at first, I have little doubt they would accept aid freely offered. By the way, a fun thing you can do with this dance partner deal, closed position, is that you can make your chocobo your dance partner. And that's just fun to think about. Let's have a fun time dancing, buddy. So, who was ready to deal with isolationist, racist elves? Part 1. Mostly isolationist, little bit racist. Mostly the isolationist part. Because there's not only elves in Ishgard. They're just like most of the positions of authority. There's like one half-elf who I don't think people like. You know, just fantasy elf things, TM. I think I have to redesignate Boaster as dance partner every time I stop riding around, but I might be wrong. No, I'm right. I wonder if that's a quality of life change that they'll do something about at some point. Oh, another thing with the chocobo is that you have to change the stance that they're in every time you log in or out, which you can't do while you're mounted, apparently. Because you have to have the chocobo present. I think I mentioned it before also, but the different stance buttons, if you have access to all of them and play them all in a row, the chocobo makes the chocobo theme. Because you could hear that that one went da-da-da a little bit, or like some part of that. If you string all of them together, they make kind of the whole thing. Anyway, Ludovoy. Time for elf. Excuse me, can you repeat that? You wish to offer your services to House Durandare, and what, pray tell, do you wish to receive in exchange? How absurd, as if we'd permit an outsider to peruse the records of the observatorium. See, here we go. Time for very rude people. Do not mistake our courtesy for friendliness. The Holy See of Ishgard, by the way, it's a theocracy. It's ruled by religion. Ishgard. It's got problems. A little bit. The Holy See of Ishgard may allow foreigners to travel freely within the Islands, but we do not intend to offer succor to strangers. Cold reception indeed. Ishgard does get kind of better, and like I still feel like Ul'dah is worse in a lot of ways. But I could see an argument for Ishgard being worse than Ul'dah at this part of the story. Sir Ludovo is doing his utmost to intimidate you into leaving. Halone have mercy, are you still here? You may take shelter within our walls if you insist, but do not distract me while I'm on duty, for it is stretched thin as it is. Where in the hells is that knight I sent out on patrol? He should have returned ages ago. Perhaps I have a use for you after all. If you still wish to aid us, search the wilds to the west for my missing man. You may know him by his uniform, that of House Durandare, as is mine. Time to do chores for people who don't respect you. That's video game. This is also used as ammunition for why the Warrior of Light becomes a Dark Knight, if you choose to take that job, I believe. Oop. Time for dancing, though. Check out my cool moves! Check it out. Do you feel better because I did a cool move? If it wasn't for you, miss, I reckon they would have finished me off. Despicable dragon-loving bastards. Oh yeah, they are all racist. I was... against dragons. Ishgard. Death was a mercy they didn't deserve. I prayed the rumors were mistaken, but this confirms the worst. I must immediately inform my superiors that the heretics are operating within this region. Fare thee well, friend. Hey, stop picking on this other player who's just trying to read a goddamn dialogue. Jesus. Oh. I mean, I could... I might as well also help out again. Alright. So, yeah, welcome to Ishgard. The outer regions of Ishgard that outsiders such as myself are permitted to enter. Still rather hostile to me, and also seem to have a number of problems. I must say, I didn't actually expect you to find my knight, much less rescue him. I see I may have been premature in my judgment, miss. We are a proud people, beholden to tradition, but that does not mean we are without humility. Except for when we are. I shall instruct the astrologians to entertain your request. However, understand that it is ultimately their decision whether or not you may peruse their records. Pray proceed to the observatorium and introduce yourself to Edmel. Another feature of Ishgard, and, well, the Elizin in general, is a lot of French names that I'm going to say wrong because I don't know how to say French words. I'm a little bit better at saying French than I was when I played Chrono Cross, but, that was a different person, basically. Ah, the lady come in search of the airship. Nice hat and tiny spectacles. This is highly unorthodox. Whatever could Sir Ludovic be thinking? It is true that we maintain meticulous records which stretch back generations. However, because this information is used to chart Dravanian activity, access is strictly controlled. One can never be too careful with heretics and their sympathizers lurking about. That's true. We will be constantly doing that. I could also be doing that with... Someone just jumped off the balcony. The crunch in this game when you take fall damage. If you would persist with your inquiries, pray seek an audience with Chief Astrologian Forlemort. Forlemort, up above. Forlemort? Is the T silent? I could also be driving into people's houses on this Imperial flying machine, which I'm sure would be a great first impression for anywhere in Eorzea and the Outer Lying Lands. So, barging into a house on a bird is a little bit better for my image. It occurs to me that if anyone demanded incredulously to know if Sucro was raised in a barn, it would kind of be probably yes as an answer. Hey, nice unicorn. No, absolutely not. Have you any inkling what it is you ask? Check out my hat. Were our records to fall into the wrong hands, it could change the course of a war which has raged for generations. I don't think that war has a course. It sounds like it ain't going nowhere, sir. I speak not of some mere spat between southern nations. Ours is a holy crusade, and we are the arbiters of Halone's will. Oh boy. I'm not sure if it's Halone or Halone, but I think it's probably Halone. I would not put our great nation at risk, certainly not to help a foreigner locate a missing airship of all things. Pardon the intrusion, Forlemort. I wish to speak with you regarding the recent... Oh, I did not realize you had a guest. Inquisitor Guillaime. Oh yeah, this fucker. You honor us with your presence, sir. The lady was just leaving. This motherfucker. Ah, you must be the one who rescued House Durandare's knight from those heretics. Doubtless they feel indebted to you. I am told you seek an airship last seen in Coerthas 5 years ago, yes? You come to us at an inconvenient time, I fear. Much has changed in the intervening years, and little for the better. While I wish you the best of luck in your search, I would also strongly advise caution. I think this guy is super evil, if I remember right. The snows can come quickly in Coerthas. One moment you may feel as though you have a firm grasp on your surroundings, safe and secure in your knowledge, and the next day you may find yourself in a wholly unfamiliar situation, blind to the dangers hidden by the blizzard. It would be wise for you to focus on a single landmark whilst traveling. Do not give in to temptation and deviate from your course. I may or may not be speaking metaphorically, as well as literally. Honestly, it's difficult to tell, because that sounded very metaphorical to me. I was not aware you aided House Durandare in that fashion. Thank you, madam. Nevertheless, my decision stands. I cannot give you what you seek. Ishgard. It's Ishgard. It's got a lot of jerks. That was not a very good theme song. I'm going to say it's canonical that Sucro isn't very good at improvising lyrics. Even though she was a bard for a bit. I don't know if her being a bard is canon. I don't know what Sucro's canon job class is. It might pivot to summoner. If I do actually like summoner, when I pivot to arcanist and summoner to try it. Wait, who am I talking to? I didn't need to walk down the stairs, did I? I think I made an error. If I do actually pivot to summoner, thinking of it in terms of Sucro lore and canon, it's fun to imagine that she just like summoned a carbuncle to help her with farm tasks and to have a little friend, and then somehow that escalated into summoning Ifrit and shit. Yeah, I didn't actually need to go all the way downstairs. You there, madam. I could not help but overhear your conversation with the chief astrologian. There may be a way I can assist you, but it would require that you can perform for me a favor in exchange. An associate of mine has yet to return from his expedition to the cliffs east of the observatorium. He was adamant that he could conduct his observations alone, despite the presence of Ixal in that vicinity. If you would seek out this astrologian and confirm that he is well, it would be a great comfort to me. Incidentally, astrologian is a character class that you can play as, or a job rather, in this game. And it has nothing to do with these people. It's a different set of astrologians. That's how I say the word, by the way. It might be astrologian or something, but astrologian sounds right to me. Similarly, there's also a class that's either called like machinist or mechanist or machinist, and I don't actually know. But I say machinist, I think. But I've also said machinist. I think. Seems that there are a number of unlockable things around here. What's your deal? Oh. You unlock a dungeon. I've heard much of your doings, and I think you the woman for this task. How did you hear about me? To the west is Dismail Darkhold. 'Twas meant to serve as the new keep of Lord Dismail, ever a friend to House Durandare. I already did this dungeon. But before the masons and carpenters could complete their work within the caves, hordes of voidsent appeared and drove them out. In the years since, the creatures have consolidated their presence. As such, we officially petition your assistance in reclaiming the Darkhold, etc., etc. So that's another weird oddity. The Grand Company rank-related quests do send you to the Darkhold, and they also send you to Aurum Vale, which are both dungeons that have separate, like, you know, separate unlock / side quest things for them. So if you want, so there's like, basically you have to do these particular dungeons twice for some reason, though you're likely to do every dungeon multiple times. Because you're going to have to do like leveling roulettes and whatnot. I guess I'm wandering over here and quote-unquote unlocking this. I'm not going to bother reading this dialogue out loud. And I guess technically speaking, it doesn't seem like I actually have a quest to do that dungeon just to go talk to that person. Because that would have unlocked it. Like if I go to journal, yeah, there's okay. Strange. So I don't actually have to do that dungeon again. It just gets unlocked in 2 different ways, and you can do both of them. It's a bit of an oddity. I don't think they do things like that later. Anyway, let's go over this way. I actually thought I was going towards the main quest objective because I wasn't thinking too hard about the map icons. Oh, actually, while we're over here, while we're here, get a load of the sheep in this game. Nope. Hey, where you going? Friend? Fine, I guess we're not gonna get a load of the sheep in this game. I don't think you can pause enemy motion in G-pose. But the sheep in this game are super cute. No, it's a sheep. It does kind of look like a rat in some ways, but it's the equivalent of sheep in this fantasy world. It will baa if I fight it. But I don't want to fight it, it's too freaking cute. Listen to the pitter-patter as it wobbles around. I love this creature. Final Fantasy XIV's equivalent of sheep. Our top 5 video game sheep creature. No question. Hello, Astrologian. You seem to be having some difficulties. I guess I'm aiding you by touching your knee. What a relief to see someone other than those god-stamped birdmen. I thought I could finish my work while the Ixal were away, but they returned far quicker than I anticipated. It was all I could do to hide and hope they might leave again before I froze to... Wait, who are you? You're not one of our knights. A man of House Durandare cannot be seen in the company of an unbeliever. Good day, madam. Jesus Christ. Ungrateful bastards around these parts. I get the feeling that Sucro canonically would not be enjoying the experience of Ishgard right now. I think this is probably the part of the plot where Sucro begins to get a little bit salty. By the way, actually that reminds me, fairly recently they actually added a housing district to Ishgard. And it just now occurred to me that moving into a house or apartment in Ishgard is kind of the ultimate fuck you to this part of the plot. Because everyone's like, oh, an outsider, an unbeliever, meh, 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 meh. And then you're just like, fuck you, I live here now. You're not gonna evict me. In fact, this section of your country is one that you can't even live in due to the weird adventurer-only rule. So go away. Eat shit. Other swears. That's good. I hope there's a spot available in Ishgard so I can, like, stick it to the man by buying a house? Question mark? I don't know which man is being stuck to in this situation. Regardless, it feels like revenge. A very particular brand of it. I helped you and the result was ungrateful. The arrogant fool returned not long before you arrived, muttering about the disgrace of having been rescued by an unbeliever. Serves him right for underestimating the dangers our knights face every day. But you're eager to locate your airship. It may surprise you that by saving him you've already aided your own cause. House Durandare is quick to regard outsiders with suspicion, as it is their duty to sound the alarm at the first sign of Dravanian aggression. Imagine if Sucro was the first sign of Dravanian aggression. Just this goofy farm cat dancing around in the snow, and they're like, fuck, it's the enemy. I'm swearing a lot today. I apologize if that's bad for anyone. That's just kind of how I speak. You've already aided them twice, for which they're honor bound to repay you. Even so, they will not grant you access to the Observatorium's records. That is just as well, for there are other ways you might locate your missing airship. What I propose is that you petition Lord Portelaine for an official introduction to the other high houses. The word of House Durandare carries tremendous weight in Ishgard. Should the captain consent, you would have little trouble obtaining information from the other high houses. Thank you to... Shoutouts to this one really helpful lady. Shoutouts to Jokia. I don't know how to say your name, but shoutouts to you. Probably one of the most helpful incidental NPCs that I've met in the entire story so far. Where's all the Jokia fans? Jokia? Josia? Josia? I could get on the chocobo to go down those stairs faster. But somehow I never want to ride a chocobo down a flight of stairs. Maybe it's just a safety precaution on my part. Like, it literally would be easier to fall off of the stairs. Alright. Portelaine. You've caused quite a stir in your short time here. First you slay 2 heretics and save a knight, and now I hear you've rescued a man of our house. I imagine you must desire something for your troubles. An introduction to the other high houses. I cannot deny that you've given us no cause to distrust you, but while you have performed 2 acts, you would have me endorse you to 3 high houses. It's only fitting that you'd aid us one final time, wouldn't you agree? I'm defeating you with the power of basic math. You cannot refute it. Good grief. 3 for 3. 3 versus 3. I wish that Wesker line had been more of a meme. Probably was. Now, I understand you're very eager to find your missing airship. Worry not, for this task should take a woman of your skills but a moment to complete. Not long ago, a porter bound for Skyfire Lux was ambushed on the road due west of here. Though he escaped with his life, he would very much like his wares as well. On the off chance any portion of his shipment remains, I would have you travel to the scene of the robbery and bring back what you find. Lest you intend to perform only a cursory search, bear in mind that recovering the stolen merchandise will endear you to House Helenarte. Hallelujah. No. House Helenart, further improving the chances that they will indulge your request for aid. Every time I don't know how to say words, I feel a little bit sad. Before we indulge their request for aid or whatever, I'm gonna be right back for a second. Ishgard, more like bitchgard. Haha, got him. I'm back. Hello. Hopefully we will meet less rude people soon. And here we are. So, we must go retrieve stolen goods, or goods that were... They tried to steal, but they kind of just dropped them all over the ground, I guess? Well, it says they're stolen. Does this feel like a little suspicious, maybe? Oh, go retrieve the stolen boxes that are sitting in plain sight along the main road. Good thing Sucro is extremely powerful and can lift anything. Now, this looks suspicious, because this piece of stolen wares is exuding a dark aura. And just like generally speaking, if something is exuding a dark aura, you should be careful. It'll probably be fine. I am way above level and item level for these enemies, but that finishing move just killing everybody at once is quite something. Let's take a look at the stolen wares in our inventory. Goods bound for the market and stolen by a band of heretics. Interestingly, they are 3 separate items instead of stacking. Although they are all described in the same way. That's not significant at all, but it does make me curious, because, like, there have been other things that we had to gather a bunch of that weren't treated in that way. Actually, thinking about it, why do we have this many spaces in the inventory for key items? Are there this many key items in the game, and is it possible to have this many at once? I don't think it's possible, so the inventory is probably like a fail-safe. Just giving you enough so that there's no way you can have too many. But I didn't really think about that until now. Have you good tidings to share, or better yet, stolen merchandise to show? I do have stolen things. Check out these boxes. One of them looks different now. God's blessed you, friend. It's all here, every last... Ah, but wait. That chest over there looks like it might have been pillaged. Bloody hells, that's the personal property of Lord Francel, too. Are you certain? Clearly an attempt was made to open it, but the lock appears to have held. Nevertheless, if you wish to verify the contents against your shipping manifest, be my guest. Fury, take me, a draconian rosary, in the possession of Lord Francel. Yet, perhaps this is not so difficult to fathom. House Helianarte is whispered to be infested with heretics. By the way, everyone in Ishgard also paranoid. Thank you for bringing this matter to my attention, miss. I shall inform the Inquisitors immediately. They have Inquisitors. That word is never good for anyone. Under these circumstances, I must strongly advise against associating with House Helianarte. Anyone know how to say that word? Am I anywhere close? Helianarte? Helianarte? Halinart? I don't know. Your other introductions will need to be postponed as well. It's the duty of every Ishgardian to root out and destroy heretics. All else must wait until this matter is resolved. So what exactly is a heretic to Ishgard? Hyanart? So I'm completely off. Hyanart sounds better. You need not what... I'm probably wrong with Durandare too. You need not watch the sky so long as House Durandare holds the observatorium. Every letter is silent. Should the Dravanians come, the golden bell will sound, and all of Ishgard shall hearken to its call. Good to know. The Rose and the Unicorn. Come closer, lass, and listen well. This is for your ears only. Lord Franzel is no heretic. He's a goodly, righteous man, wholly dedicated to the cause. I know this because I served House Hyanart for years prior to the calamity. You must go to Skyfire Locks and warn him of the coming storm. The Inquisitors are ruthless and will spare him no mercy. Speak to him of an Edelweiss. Another word I don't know how to say. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, Edelweiss. I think there's a thing where you say that several times and it's from something. And he will know you for a friend. Now go. I think that's a reference to something to say that word 3 times. I don't know what it is. I am not a highly learned woman. As they say. Or would say. In this setting. Probably. Time to go warn a guy that there's a conspiracy theory happening. That's not words. Do I go in here? It says it's up. But how is it up? Oh, it's up because there is up. That would make sense. Oh. Hey, Franzel. You look like a pleasant enough individual. Yes, you look as though you have something to say, do you? Wow. This is not the way I would choose to speak of Edelweiss. But that is what we were told to say. What if I say nothing? Oh. What if I say Wild Rose? What an odd thing to say. Did you perchance receive a blow to the head not long ago? Or is this some queer southern jest? Why do I have to say is that in your pocket or are you happy to meet me joke in order to convey this password? I detest this. But fine. Zucro wouldn't say that. I see Sir Carolot. Carolot? Carolau. I think T's are usually silent. Sir Carolot, though, would be really funny. Sir Carolau has not forgotten my mother's favorite flower. The pity has not been seen in Sir Coerthas since the calamity. You may speak freely here, friend. I'm a cat, and you're gonna die from conspiracy. That's absurd! I would sooner die than become a thrall of the dragons. Alas, it matters little what I say at this point. Although the draconian rosary was not found in my possession, it will still be considered by many to be proof of my heresy. I must do my utmost to prove my innocence to the Inquisitors, for if they harbor even the slightest doubt, this will only add weight to the incessant accusations our house has suffered of late. It's as though the gods themselves are plotting our fall. Yeah, I'm gonna actually, at this point, I think I will throw Wild Rose at every password prompt. I will purposefully do this. This dialogue prompt making me say something I didn't want to has solidified my intent. You risk much by coming here. It is only proper that I recompense you for this deed. Tell me what you desire, and I shall do my best to provide. A missing airship, I see. It may require a prolonged effort to locate your quarry. I shall direct you to one in a better position to assist you. Lord Hoshefant, yes, of House Fortomps commands the garrison at Camp Dragonhead. Present to him this letter of introduction, and he will surely be receptive to your needs. Best boy incoming. Lord Hoshefant is a very nice individual, a very kind character, a very beloved character. I hope I'm saying his name right, at least. Hoshefant. I could probably use that as a guide for how to say other things. But seriously though, everyone loves the sky. A fan favorite to be sure. That might be spoiling a bit that he is significant. Though it's not unheard of for fans to absolutely love a completely minor character. So maybe I didn't need to say that. How's for Tom? I think it's for Tom. I am so bad at French. Oh boy, here he is. What voice do I give this guy? That feels like a... Oh hey, a Gala cat and a Gala kitten. Together. They seem to be looking at each other. Ah, the unmistakable swagger of a well-traveled adventurer. If you are come to pay your respects, be at ease, friend. I'm not one to stand on formality. Truth be told, I would gladly welcome many and more brave souls like yourself. But enough chatter. Pray tell me why you have come. I'm a cat and I need to find a boat. If there is any justice in this world, these charges will receive no serious consideration. It is beyond inconceivable. Ah, yes, that the letter made mention of a pressing matter for which you have required assistance. And what might that be? Gotta find a boat. Funny boat that flies. So this enterprise you speak of was last seen above Coerthas before the calamity 5 years ago. I fear it may prove difficult to find any eyewitnesses to these events, for while Ishgard did not participate in the Battle of Cartano, we were embroiled in our own internal conflicts at the time. Nevertheless, I will make inquiries on your behalf and share with you my findings in the future. In the meantime, please enjoy the hospitality of Camp Dragonhead. I will see that you are afforded every courtesy as a guest of House Fortan. Thanks, Harshafant. You're great. We'll see a lot more of you. In fact, we're going to do so right now. As you've doubtless realized by now, the high houses of Ishgard, House Fortamp included, are either unable or unwilling to offer you formal assistance in your search. However, that does not mean that there are not influential individuals within each house who are sympathetic to your cause. I shall be sending missives to the various representatives in Ishgard, though I suspect it would be quicker and more efficient if you were to make inquiries of your own. Lady Nin of mine own House Fortamp, who resides here in Camp Dragonhead, rather enjoys the company of travelers. There's also Cravelin of House Hyanart, who can be found at Skyfire Locks, though any information you pry from the scribe may prove difficult to parse. Have you spoken with the chief astrologian of House Durandare yet? Really? Perhaps he will be more accommodating once I inform him that you are a friend of House Fortamp. Do not concern yourself with House Dismal. I shall contact them myself. Seek the counsel of the three I mentioned, and return to me when you are finished. Thanks, Harshafant. Oh, Sid and Alphino are here. Howdy, friends. We came to find an airship, yet now we meddle in Ishgardian affairs of state. Gods, if Alizé were here, I would never hear the end of it. I'm glad we left the observatorium. The people there were not friendly. Though even here I can feel eyes upon us. We are not safe. It's true that we're not. Bad things are happening in the background of Ishgard. There's a person named Evil Moo. I wonder if that's just like a villainous cow of some kind, or bull, or if they're referring to like a Monster Rancher cartoon where the villain was Moo, and I think it was spelled like the cow sound. Hey Nin, I think that's Nin. Why hello, good madam. What's that, an airship you say? I hate to disappoint you, but I know nothing of what you seek. Likely no one of House Photom does, for if they did, I would definitely know as well. The topic on everyone's lips these days is what will become of young Lord Francel. Some say the allegations are long overdue, given how many members of House Hyanard have been found guilty of heresy in recent days. So the accusations have already happened and, spread like wildfire. Ishgardian Inquisitors work quickly, it would seem. Probably something that's good to keep in mind and dangerous to have around. I never actually watched the Monster Rancher cartoon. Like, more than probably a few minutes of it. Like, maybe if they had gone with Moo that had the U in it instead, it would have been a little bit better, but it still sounds the same. You can't underestimate the power of a homonym. So, I am not sure. Hello, Kravelin. Halone, grant me strength. There must be some way to... Oh, who are you? A friend of Lord Hoshifon? I want to help you, I truly do, but these accusations of heresy have thrown House Hyanard into chaos. Right now, we must focus on combating these charges and preserving our reputation. That's fair, honestly. I wonder where this goes. What cool stuff do you have in your basement? Is it heretical? What counts for heresy in Ishgard is basically thinking we should be nice to dragons, though, or plotting with dragons to overthrow the government. Either or. We will learn more about that later. Or maybe sooner than I think. Observatorium. Don't be a jerk to me, I have a letter. I don't have a letter anymore, but, you know, I have a word. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a good time to me, honestly. Don't worry, we'll be doing that, probably. Spoilers. Heaven's Word is a really good expansion. We're not really close to it yet, though we are being introduced to some of the central conflicts at play within it. Yeah. I gather you've been busy since we last spoke. Lord Hoshifon's missive was positively glowing. But if you think that his endorsement is cause for me to disregard Ishgardian politics, then you are sorely mistaken. We are at war, madam, and the enemy grows bolder by the day. Why, in the short time since Inquisitor Guillaime arrived in Coerthas, countless heretics have been discovered, even amongst the elite of Ishgardian society. Staring directly into the camera, which actually means staring off to my right. Does that sound suspicious to anybody else? Since this Guillaime has arrived? I wonder what that could mean. If Lord Harshifont wishes to waste his days chasing after a long-lost airship, then that is his choice. But if he expects others to share in his folly, then he is truly blind to the present state of affairs. You know, maybe if we led with, we need this airship to stop Garuda, who is going to destroy your nation with tornadoes. Maybe that would be more convincing, though I don't think they would listen anyway. Yeah, that's true. Also, I know this part of the story a little bit, so, like, I'm making it more obvious because I know that he's a bad dude. So, you know, I'm not good at pretending I don't know what's happening. This is a re-experiencing of the game, not a blind playthrough, so there will be things I remember here and there. Despite my own negative opinion of my memory. Gonna talk to Horshifont, cause he knows stuff. I have a bad memory in a lot of cases. Oh hey. Rika cameo. Rika's punching a crocodile in the road. Normal things to do in Coerthas. I apologize for the betrayal. By your countenance, I take it you did not learn anything of use. Nor did I fear. It seems the whole of Coerthas is consumed by this talk of heretics in the high houses. We can only hope that my sources in Ishgard provide more pertinent information. Road to Redemption. I had another personal request to make of you. It concerns Lord Francel, of whom much has been whispered in recent days. I've received a report that he and 3 knights were seen heading north toward the Steel Vigil. The outpost was long ago overrun by the Dravanian horde, so I'm not certain what he intends to accomplish with such a small force. Whatever his motives, I fear for his safety. Pray journey to the Steel Vigil and see if Lord Francel's party requires assistance. You bet I will. You know, if this portion of the game was the recent or like modern one, I kind of wonder if how many Among Us jokes there would be at this part. By the way, so the heretics, right? You might wonder what they're doing with them. There's this giant chasm here that's called Witch Drop. Yup. If you're branded a heretic, they throw you into the pit. Isn't that great? I think this is probably, yeah, into the punishment hole, basically. I think this is the part of the story where things are getting interesting. Like, even though I complain about stories kind of focusing on, like, politics and military stuff in fantasy settings, I feel like Ishgard is substantially more interesting as an area than the 3 major city-states that you can start in. And it does help that I associate it with Heavensward, which is substantially more interesting than A Realm Reborn. We are still in A Realm Reborn, but I feel as though things might be picking up in terms of being interesting. Who goes there? Sucro, no, stay back. The fiend is still here. Oh, that's fine. Don't worry about that. Fiend's not here anymore. I'm way over leveled, so you don't have to worry. No problem. I heard the beast's cries from over yonder. Then Lord Francel is safe? Bless you, miss, bless you. Francel must be here in an attempt to clear his name by vanquishing some of the enemy. Curse those fiends, it's as though they knew we were coming. I don't know what voice that was. How warm do you think Sucro's current clothing is? Do you think Sucro's cold right now? Confound it all, how are we to redeem House Hyanart if we cannot even slay a single Avis? We're fortunate you came along when you did, miss. House Hyanart will remember your kindness. I give you a pat on the shoulder to make you feel better. It was a foolish thing to do, I know, but I'd hoped we might demonstrate our devotion by slaying a number of the Scalekin. Moreover, it was House Hyanart that yielded the Steel Vigil to the Horde many years ago. One might say that our defeat here heralded the slow decline of our house's once great name. We have been brought even lower by these despicable accusations of heresy, and despite my best efforts, I've done naught to improve the situation. The day of my trial approaches. Soon I must accept the judgment of the Inquisitors, whatever it may be. But even should my protestations fall on deaf ears, I will proclaim my innocence to my dying breath. Yeah, you do that, Francel. Things aren't looking too good for poor Francel. There seems to be a group of 3 or more Lalafell wandering around in these areas doing all of the quests together in sync. Rika cameo. I think Rika is also at this portion of the story. But it also be said on record here that Rika is great. And I love them. Oh. Harshafant, do you mind if I stand in your strategic war table with a bird? Is that okay? Are we cool? What did you find at the Steel Vigil? Ah, I see. A reckless plan, but at least it did not cost him and his knights their lives. I have news for you as well. A witness to the final flight of the Enterprise has been found. Alas, there is a complication. It has become common knowledge that you paid a visit to Lord Francel at Skyfire Locks not long ago. Upon learning of this, the witness became understandably reticent to make your acquaintance, for fear of being seen in the company of a woman who might be later declared to be a heretic. A not unreasonable fear, given the zeal with which Inspector Guillaime... God damn it. Inspector Fuckface... I mean, Inquisitor... Inquisitor... Guillaime, I'm gonna say, hasn't conducted his investigations. In any case, if we wish to obtain his testimony, we must first clear Lord Francel's name, and by association yours. A weapon coffer I can't use. Those will be useful much later, probably. As I see it, the key to proving Lord Francel's innocence is discrediting the evidence against him. I speak of the draconian rosary found in the chest you yourself recovered. If you would, please tell me of the incident in question. So it was found in a locked chest, labeled as the property of Lord Francel. If the rosary was not his, then someone else with access must have planted it. Here is what you must do. Return to the Skyfire Locks and speak with Rickaman. He works closely with the porters who ferry goods across coerthas, so he may have some inkling of who could be responsible. There's a lot of errand running still happening, but at least it's like for good reasons, and not for Titan reasons. We don't have to collect cheese for a rich guy. We have to, like, collect evidence so that we don't get thrown into the judgment hole. Along with some other guy who we have known for 5 minutes. I wonder what the actual passage of time is intended to be like at this point. Because word is spreading very quickly of everything that's happening, and it's not taking that long for it to happen. So... I don't know. Hello, Rickaman. Someone tampering with shipments? Fury strike me down if all them rosaries we found in our people's possessions were planted. You know, I think if I were if I were going to do some heresy, I don't think I would ship my cool heretical necklace in my belongings everywhere. I'd probably just like put it in my pocket. You know, I wouldn't just like ship gallons. I don't know why I said gallon. I wouldn't ship like a bunch of Satan necklaces or whatever. I might, because Satan's fine. They don't care about Satan, they only care about dragons. I wouldn't... What I'm saying is that I don't think this makes... Either the heretics are collectively not very good at safety, or this is very suspicious. And it's the latter one. Hey now, don't you give me that look, lass. I'm a House Hyanot man through and through. This heresy nonsense is bad for me and my family too. I ain't saying the porters what were bringing the shipment did it, though. I know most of them work with the trade routes, and I've never had cause to question their faith. But if it wasn't them neither, then your guess is as good as mine. After all, most every shipment's thoroughly inspected before... Eh? Could it have been the fellows that were responsible for the inspections? Ha! Ishgardian knights and inquisitors, the lot of them. As if they'd ever turn their cloaks. Surely the people in the position of power would never betray us. That would be silly. I reckon that means the porters are your most likely suspects. Hate to think it, but maybe you should question them. There's a crew coming to Camp Dragonhead from Whitebrim Fort this morning. You might consider having a word with them. It could never be the hyper-religious zealot cops who are at fault. It would have to be the mailman. Dot. Ishgard. 'Tis a silly place. I'm very curious to know if they will let me, like, into the housing district as soon as I get there, if I have to beat Heavensward first. They voiced did something weird there. Apathetic Porter. Beg your pardon, you suspect that we porters have been planting draconian rosaries in House Hyanot shipments? What nerve! If you truly believe such nonsense, search our parcels and see what you find. I'm gonna find like 50,000 dragon coins. You find a draconian rosary hidden inside the parcel. You find a draconian rosary hidden inside the parcel. Okay, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. The brand of an unbeliever and an enemy of the Holy See. Hey. Are we finished? If so, I'd appreciate an apology. But that's impossible. Once the knight at Whitebrim Fort concluded her inspection, I loaded the parcels into the wagon myself. If I had been the culprit, I would have never allowed you to search my shipments. Say what you will to Lord Haurchefant, I will not be held accountable for this. Well, I mean, all signs point to the knights. Y'all. Did something happen outside? I thought I heard shouting. More importantly, what did Rickaman have to say? More draconian rosaries? Is it draconian or draconian? In every single parcel bound for Skyfire locks, that beggars belief. Even the Inquisitors must acknowledge that this is no more than a crass attempt to sully House Hyanot's reputation. Whoever is responsible has overplayed his hand. Yeah, exactly. You don't just put illegal things in every shipment if you're smart. And praise Haloni that he did. Lord Francel's trial is upon us, and we must act now if we are to clear his name. In the eyes of gods and men. From the very first I knew it could not be that so many members of House Hyanot were heretics. At last we can give the lie to these poisonous allegations and put an end to this travesty. I will need to prepare a formal statement regarding these developments for the Holy See. In the meantime, I would have you bear my words to Inquisitor Brigi. Tell her that House Fortom asks, nay, demands that Lord Francel's trial be postponed until a full investigation has been conducted. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that, Isa. They don't need to convince people, they need an excuse to do what they want. You did, in fact, Miss Vortifart. He was a very minor character, and I'm grateful for that, because I don't like to think about him and his terrible name. Where exactly am I going? Is it still in here? You did miss that guy, but we are at one of the best characters, Harshafant. And we're also learning about how shitty Ishgard is. So, not a bad time to be here. Though, like, I mean, speaking from terms of self-promotion, it's never a bad time to view my stream. Because you should tell all your friends, and, yeah. I personally feel like Ul'dah might be worse, but that might just be because Heaven's Word is so much better than The Realm Reborn. They both... And also because, like, Ishgard gets better. So, you know... Ul'dah... Okay, maybe Ishgard now is worse than Ul'dah, and then later Ul'dah gets worse again. What is it, my child? Lord Harshafant would have the Inquisitors do what? But that's not possible. Inquisitor You're also here to witness me butchering every single elf name. Inspector Guillaime presides over Lord Francel's trial at Witchdrop even as we speak. Fear not, if Lord Francel is indeed innocent, we shall walk in Halone's halls with the fallen heroes of Ishgard. So yeah, what I was saying earlier about Witchdrop. Time to see it in person. Time to just see this happen. More shoutouts to Rika. They've taken Lord Francel to Witchdrop. This is madness. The Wait a second. When was The Realm Reborn? And when was the movie 300? Because they are about to kick somebody into a large vertical pit. God damn it. The Inquisitor does not have sufficient grounds to subject him to that manner of trial. Yeah, exactly. That's a good, perfect summary of the Ishgard point of view right now. Like, no beating about the bush. That's literally exactly what they're doing. I will not stand idly and allow an innocent man to die. Sukro, I would dispatch you and one of my knights to Witchdrop to forestall the proceedings until such time as I am able to join you and petition Inquisitor Guillaime in person. I will endeavor not to keep you waiting long. Do whatever you must to keep Lord Francel alive. Time to kill. Maybe we don't kill. We probably get accused of heresy and they try to throw us in the pit and we kill them. And then we get accused of double heresy and they try to throw us in the deeper pit that they have reserved for, like, double heretics somewhere. They keep having to dig more and deeper valleys and pits and places as people get more and more heretical these days. I mean, all the way down is a pretty good joke for this part, actually. Hail, Sukro. As you can see, Lord Francel yet lives. We must try to reason with the Inquisitor. But if his guards judge us a threat, we must also be prepared to defend ourselves. Hey, level sync. That means I won't be ridiculously overpowered, only a little bit overpowered. Also, I don't know if there's anyone I can dance partner with. Shokain Shaleman Francel de Hayanot. You stand accused of heresy against the Holy See of Ishgard. Is there aught you wish to say in your defense? Hear me, brothers, these charges are false. The men and women of my line have ever opposed the Javanians, and I am no different. Since the very birth of our nation, we have gladly shed blood in service to the Holy See, condemn me, and you will strike a blow for the enemies of Ishgard. It is for Halone to judge if you speak the truth. Prove your innocence in the eyes of gods and men. Leap from the cliff and entrust your fate to the Fury. The righteous shall take their place in Halone's halls, while the wicked shall reveal their draken forms and be put to the sword. In the name of House Fortamp, I beseech you, stay your hand. Inquisitor, we are come on behalf of Lord Haurchefant. My lord has uncovered evidence which suggests that the charges against Lord Francel are without merit. We humbly request that these proceedings be suspended until such time as a full re-examination of the facts has been conducted. Lord Haurchefant allowed his personal relationship with the accused to cloud his judgment. That he should harbor private doubts, I might have allowed, but that he would dare interfere in legal proceedings sanctioned by the Holy See, I cannot. To defy the will of an inquisitor is to commit heresy, a crime for which there is but one punishment. Into the hold. We must hold them until Lord Haurchefant arrives, Sucro, and remember no harm can come to the Inquisitor. Funny thing about Dancer is the idle pose for when you have your weapons drawn. Like this hopping is a thing that we're going to do in cutscenes a lot now. Your shield bears no sigil, sir. Do you serve the Holy See or one of the high houses? I serve a higher power, says this random person who I've given his voice now. Can I... If I target you... I cannot dance partner in NPC, so I don't have a voice. Honestly, it's fine. It's not that important. Lord Haurchefant has come! There he is. And the music changes too. In the name of House Fortamp, I demand that you lay down your arms. By this deed, you do disgrace your line, Lord Haurchefant. By the way, Haurchefant actually doing shit here. He's not just a desk guy. Ishgardian scum, today you shall answer for your sins. That's a suspicious line for you to yell. Isn't it? Aren't you also Ishgardian? Hey look, why is there a wyvern here? I wonder what could be possibly fucking happening. A wyvern? But there were no reports of Dravanian activity. You would call upon your allies to save you. At last your treachery is laid bare. I'm too easily embarrassed to attempt to lay down some sick beats at this time. I don't know what my skill level at beatboxing is. Totally sanctioned Holy Wyvern. Yeah. I like the implication that they just have this dragon lying, like, hiding behind a rock. To be like, okay, bring in the dragons so we can frame them for being friends with the dragon. Oh hey, look, you dropped the rosary. The wyvern is fleeing. Hey, look, hey, Guile, guillaime. I found a funny evidence that you're the crime. Hey, idiot. Don't fold your arms at me. It's time for you to go into the punishment pit. It is not our intention to defy the will of the Archbishop, but this trial, like many others I fear, has been orchestrated by enemies of House Hyanar. They have used you and your fellows to sow discord, Inquisitor, to set brother against brother, that we may tear ourselves apart. The fevered imaginings of a desperate man. What proof have you of this? By the Fury, a draconian rosary! Then the knight who refused to yield, and it was he who summoned the wyvern. A heretic in the ranks of the Temple Knights. This has grave implications. Your claims would appear to have merit, Lord Rochefort. I shall withdraw my charges against Lord Francel, pending further investigation. I trust you have not lost sight of that which first brought you to Coerthas, Sucro. Pray locate your errand airship and use it. Why are you telling me to use my cool boat? You just want me to leave? Is that what you're saying? Lord Rochefort, I have not words to express my gratitude, but why would you risk your reputation to save mine? Because I know you, boy. You're too loyal to betray Ishgard, and too devout to question your sentence. Had we been any slower, you would have jumped of your own free will. I would have done whatever it took to redeem House Hyanard. Praise Helone, it did not come to that, but it profits us little to dwell on what might have been. Yeah, he's definitely telling me to fuck off. Let us quit this place, Sucro. Pray visit me at Camp Dragonhead once you have recuperated. God, the physics on this dagger strapped to the belt of my clothing. It's like moving exactly with the way the clothes do in the wind. Like I think it has its own separate jiggle bones or what have you. It's not moving exactly with them, but it sure does feel like it's moving a little bit too much. Unless this is just made of paper or cardboard. Is this like a fake knife? Because if it was a real sheathed weapon, I think it would have more weight than that and not blow in the wind so much. Pondering why Sucro would have like a fake knife on her outfit is kind of funny. Or I guess it could be decorative. It could be a ritual sacrifice knife for heresy purposes. I mean, what? I'm innocent. I don't think Sucro is very good at scaring crows, because I saw someone named, like... I found myself standing directly next to someone named, like, Clever Crow or something the other day. They didn't seem to be too perturbed. So I don't know if Sucro's great at her namesake's job. You look well, Sucro. May I say what a pleasure it was to fight alongside such a fearless and skillful warrior. Were it not for you, Lord Francel would surely have died defending the honor of his house, and I might well have perished at the hands of a heretic and his wyvern. House Fortom and House Hyanard shall never forget your service. Now let us return to the matter of your missing enterprise. I don't know, all crows are pretty clever, is the thing. The man with the knowledge of the enterprise awaits you outside. I pray his information proves useful to you. Don't mind me as I jump over your cool war table again. Discomposed cataloger. How quickly the commoners' opinions change. They say Lord Francel is innocent now, but just a few days prior. We've been here for days? I mean, I guess with the day-night cycle, we kind of have. Sucro, take a nap, jeez. Anyway, you were inquiring as to the whereabouts of an airship last seen in Coerthas several days before the calamity, yes? Well, it just so happens that I was monitoring the night sky at the observatorium during that period. I recall that a small vessel came from the direction of Gridania and landed near the Stone Vigil in the far northwest. The garrison almost certainly seized the vessel and brought it within their walls. If so, then you would need an army of knights to have any hope of securing it. Though Lord Rochefort is, from all indications, quite fond of you, so mayhaps he can lend a few. In any case, I have done my part. I shall pray for your success, friend. Thank you, rather friendly if cautious individual. Whoop. Oh, I can almost leap the table in a single bound, thanks to this little nook here. But not quite. Oh, so you've at last located the Enterprise. I believe congratulations are in order. The Stone Vigil? Oh wait, that's a dungeon. Perhaps I spoke too soon. The outpost has been held by the dragons for years, and all access is restricted by decree of House Durandare. I will write a letter to Lord Drillmont of Whitebrim Front, and request that he will grant you permission to enter. That said, I fear my influence alone will not suffice, so I suggest you request Lord Francel to do the same. Now that your business in Camp Dragonhead is concluded, I suspect we may not meet again for some time. I wish you well in your journeys, Sucro. May Halone guide you. Thanks, Harshafont. See you later. Yep. Well, singular dungeon, but yes. So if multiple days have passed in-game during this whole adventure, like, I think we were done with the dancer introduction probably about an hour, about an hour in. I don't know what I'm excusing myself for. My talking being interrupted? Anyway, I think we were probably done with the dancer stuff about an hour in, or earlier. And if that's the case, then that means we've spent a few days in Coerthas in the span of about an hour and a half. And then, factoring all of that in, and then considering that the average queue time for a DPS entering a dungeon is like 10 to 15 minutes, does that mean that in universe we spend half a day waiting in line to enter a dungeon? Wonderful to see you again, Sucro. If there's anything I can do to repay you, name it. So the airship you seek is likely inside the Stone Vigil. It shames me to say that it too was once an outpost held by House Hyanart. In the chaos that followed the calamity, the Dravanian horde caught us unawares. The fiends have held the outpost ever since. As we lack the strength of arms to retake the Stone Vigil, House Durandare instead has been charged with the duty. Given that, I doubt that my words will carry much weight with Lord Drillmont. Nevertheless, I shall write you your letter. Before you depart, a word of caution. The Cravens who attempted to destroy House Hyanart have yet to be unmasked. Though their plans were foiled, they doubtless still harbor great hatred towards us, and towards you now as well. True. Both of these have the same description, though they are named differently. And now we must needs head in that direction. What? I've become curious again what titles that I have access to. Nothing terribly new, though I do want to mention that PvP titles are in this silly vein. Like, depending on which faction you've earned PvP points for, you get like Puppy, Howler, Growler, and it continues from there, because the PvP area is the Wolves' Den, and they're all about wolves at the Wolves' Den. So you get wolf marks, you get called a puppy when you're like rank 1. That sort of thing. Technically, I have advanced my title beyond Serpent Howler, which is what I have equipped. However, awoo. This is more of a title for me than it is for Sucro. The Howling Snake sounds like something, but I don't know what. Or the Howling Serpent. Something of that kind. Sounds like a title you'd give to a weird boss enemy. Awoo! The awoo was redeemed. Every time that happens, I have to explain that it was redeemed. Because there's a channel point reward for 300 channel points, which is really cheap, where you can make me say awoo. For some reason. Because wolves still linger within my brand. Or something like that. I have invisible fluffy wolf ears, but you can't see them because they're invisible. Clearly. It's a matter I've been trying to resolve. Sometimes things are just invisible, though. Hey, what's up? You desire an audience with Lord Drillimont, do you? Ha, I desire a night in a warm bed with my wife, but wishing won't make it so. Well, you have some personal things you'd like to resolve, huh? What do we have here? Letters from Lord Hoshefond and Francel, is it? A likely... Oh, you're serious. What to do? What to do? Let me into the dungeon. Your timing could not have been worse, traveler. Lord Drillimont's attentions are focused solely on the stone vigil at present. Hey, that's where I'm going. In any case, it's not my responsibility to escort visitors. Take your letters and show them to Sir Albois. Yes, Sir Albois can surely accommodate you. Seek her in the storeroom on the opposite side of the yard. Ah yes, the gender-neutral Sir with S-E-R. Not a huge fan of this, though it is historically a thing, I do believe. There have also been some settings where it is spelt with a Y. But all knights have the title of Sir with an E. In this game. Forgot about that. Not... Oh, hey Sid, what's up? The Enterprise is indeed inside the Stone Vigil, then we must convince Lord Drillimont to cooperate. We sure do. Looks like people aren't doing too good around these parts. Got some illness happening. Possibly suffering from it's too gosh dang cold around here. Where is this person I'm supposed to be speaking to? Albois? I don't know if that's how you say that either. Albase? Maybe? Because I think there's like an ingredient or a dish of some kind with a name like Bouillabaisse, which has a similar sort of spelling. So maybe it's Albase? I could be completely wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. What's up? Sir Brunadier bade you speak with me, did he? I know not why he presumed I would be in a better position to help, but I assure you that he is mistaken. Lord Drillimont hasn't the time to... I'm probably saying that wrong, too. Hasn't the time to spend speaking with low-ranking knights such as I. However, he always has a moment to spare for the head Chirurgeon, Astidian. Chirurgeon? That's another word I don't know. Why not visit the infirmary upstairs and show your letters to him? Chirurgeon, I think. What's up, Alphino? I didn't notice you over here. Time is a resource we can ill afford to squander. We must gain entrance to the Stone Vigil without further delay. Hey, why are there a bunch of rat in town? Oh well, they're dead now, it's fine. Aggressive rats, I should specify. Now I'm supposed to be up here. Are you here to visit a patient, perhaps? What's this? Letters of introduction from House Fortamp and Hyanar? With documents such as these, you needn't seek an escort. Pray proceed to the barracks and speak with Sir Godino. He should know Lord Drillmont's current whereabouts. Ah, the roundabouts are still continuing. I think this is the biggest flaw of A Realm Reborn, probably. And something that is less common in future parts of the game is just the running around constantly. I think you do that a little bit less later on. Up the stairs we go. Hey, Gordano. What reason have you for barging into... Oh, I see. Well, you're in luck. Lord Drillamont is just up these stairs. Letters or no, I would not expect much. House Durndare as a whole does not hold adventurers in high regard. You'd best state your intentions quickly and succinctly. Show proper respect and it shall be returned in kind. I'm a cat. That's my intentions. I vaguely remember this guy. Sir Gordano permitted your passage. Very well, speak. I have ladders. You wish to brave a ruined outpost filled with scalekin to secure an airship that may or may not be there. Are you the avatar of the Fury herself? Maybe. What's to you? We are the scions of the Seventh Dawn, Lord Drillamont. You know our name, and you know our deeds. We are come to Coerthas to slay Garuda, Lady of the Vortex. To that end we seek the Enterprise, the airship of Master Sidnan Garland, who stands before you now. Master Garland, you're alive? But that's impossible. Indeed it is, my lord. I'm here to cause trouble. This is a dragon. As you can clearly, do not be deceived by their honeyed words. These foreigners are not to be trusted. At this critical moment in Ishgardian history, as House Durndare marshals its forces to retake the Stone Vigil, who should appear in white brim front but 3 mysterious strangers? Sid Garland, missing and presumed dead since before the calamity, and 2 scions of the Seventh Dawn, a defunct band of misfits recently exterminated by the Empire. The lesser houses may have been duped by these grandiose lies, but I should hope that House Durndare would have greater sense. I know not why these 3 seek the Stone Vigil, but I know that we cannot permit them to pass. Can I just kill this guy? Thank you for your counsel, Inquisitor. For a moment I nearly believed this mummer's farce. You 3 will not enter the outpost until we have reclaimed it, and until you declare your true intentions as well. God damn it. It could be moons before House Durndare purges the dragons from the Stone Vigil. We cannot afford to wait that long. Sid Sucro, we must do whatever it takes to earn Lord Drillamont's trust. Understood? Nod. This fucking guy, though. And heck, he even told me to find the airship and fuck off, but now he's telling me I can't find it because I'm evil heretic bad. God damn it. I mean, it's obvious that this guy is a bad guy. It's occurring to me that the kind of voice I'm giving this guy might be the appropriate kind of voice for a character who is much later in the story. And, like, while also villainous, is, like, way more fun. Well. Okay, we're outside again. The compass in the corner is a bit... wait. This is not the ground level. This is below the ground level. Wait. Where's the door? How do I leave? Am I blind? Are there several floors down below ground level? Because I thought I just... I'm doing something foolish here. Non-Euclidean tower indeed. Oh, right. Oh wait, no, this is the top of the tower. Well, fortunately for everyone involved, there is no lethal fall damage unless you're in combat. Whee! I have 1 health. It would be really funny if my chocobo healing me, because it's in healing stance, triggered me being in combat, and thus I died from that fall instead. Okay, what do you need? Hostifor. You were the last responsible for that commotion upstairs. Aye, word travels fast in Whiterobe Front. I gather you still wish to change Lord Drillamont's mind. If there's one thing I've learned about the man in my time here, it's that he listens to and respects the opinions of those under his command. Went over the barracks, and he's sure to take notice. How, you ask? That's easy. Serve the poor souls decent fare for a change. The last few supply shipments contained no meat whatsoever, and the knights are rightfully beginning to complain. I'm thinking we could prepare them steaks using mud puppy tail meat. It wouldn't be a quality meal, 'tis true, but it's a damn sight better than nothing. If you've a mind to lend a hand, why not await a lurking mud puppy in Danifin Pass, and take this bottle of vinegar. Luke will say it weakens mud puppies by clogging their mucus glands, drying their skin. Okay. That feels mildly contrived, but sure. I shall do as you ask. I took the wrong exit, is what it looks like. So in this case, I'll have to use an item on a creature. I don't think that's too difficult with a controller, but it might be weird. How far away is this? Not bad. By the way, this is what a chinchilla looks like. Did you know this? At least in the world of Final Fantasy the 14th one. This is evidently a chinchilla. You learn things often, as they say. I was trying to say you learn something new every day, but instead I just got you learn things often. Yeah, it would seem that Rika's on the same quest step as I am, which means I can help. Unless that blood puppy leaves, I guess. I think you can fight these without using the vinegar, but like you might as well, I suppose, also. Oh, it died. Okay. Hold on a second. Right then. Sorry about that. Probably not going to continue for too much longer. I had to address something though. Even if I don't continue for too much longer, I feel like we did make a decent amount of progress today for what I said would probably be a low-key stream. Guess I don't give myself enough credit as usual. It didn't work, did it? I thought it was an idiotic idea. Nope, it actually did work. Oh dear, remind me never to wander near Mud Puppy's spawning grounds without a bottle of vinegar. Any road, this should only take a moment. I'll just need to do this, and voila! Never seen a man cook steaks that fast, have you? Take these 3 and distribute them to the hungry knights here up and up above. I cooked steaks with my mind in the middle of a text box. We ought to at least receive a hearty meal before we march off to die in this god's-forsaken waste. The rubbery texture of mud puppy meat will ensure your jaws go exhausted before your belly goes full. Is that a fresh-cooked steak? Alone's blessings be upon you, my friend. Mud puppy meat or no, it's the most delicious food I've had in a fortnight. You there, lass. Don't think I didn't see you and the cook conspiring together. Let me make myself perfectly clear. If you wish to buy my trust with a steak, it would be my pleasure to oblige you. That's a pretty good line of dialogue. Yes, I feel invigorated, refreshed, as if I have the strength of 10 men and their wits besides. I should have no trouble concocting a new reason to refrain from sentry duty. Who's this random minor NPC being hilarious? Shoutouts to the random minor NPCs in Ishgard that are like either really helpful or actually pretty funny, I guess. Ever must we train to maintain our skill at arms, yet never are we to receive proper sustenance. You are a godsend, my friend. Too few appreciate that House Durandar must do more than its fair share for the sake of ishgard. Steaks have been delivered. Wait a second. There's a low polygon cooked turkey on the table right now. What are you talking about, having no shipments of meat? It's right there. And what's this over here? What's this but deli meat and sausages? There's meat all over the dang place. You've even got, like, a bundle of pears. And a jar of, like, polka dots. You know, all the food groups. And there's, like, a pan of sausages right here. There's a, looks like some kind of chili or something. Which often contains meat, but not always. There's gourds. You're not short on gourd. Are you to tell me that all of this food is decorative? Or perhaps all of this food is heretical and has to be thrown into the pit and you can't eat it? Like, this low polygon turkey was seen consorting with the dragons before being cooked? I don't know. Could also be a chicken. It feels wonderful to see everyone in such high spirits. Amazing what good food can do for morale, eh? I wish food did anything positive to my morale. Ah, but I've forgotten about the hard-working doctors at the infirmary. So rarely do they take their meals here in the hall. Mind taking this steak to Sonota? She's doubtless so preoccupied with the health of her patients that she's neglected to attend to her own. Sucro's food delivery service. You should give her a tip, because she's a cat. Always tip your drivers and food delivery people and stuff. It's important, because their companies are usually shit garbage. Beg your pardon, madam, but I'm busy attending to this man. I'll be with you in a moment. I have a steak, though. Is that... Come to think of it, it's been quite a while since I last ate. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to have a nibble. Oh my, this is fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll eat the rest right away. And my reward for delivering food to people is food. Knight's bread. I love to have bread. Don't forget that you have to eat, even if it sucks. Eat that bread. Eat that bread and become well fed. Bread, you'll be well fed. Is what Kefka would say if he were a chef instead of an insane clown. He could also be an insane clown chef. Those things aren't mutually exclusive, I don't think. What's up, Sid? Might I have a word with you, Sucro? That concerns the Shirusians. After speaking with them earlier, I learned that they lack sufficient alembics for their needs, you see. So I used some of their broken equipment to craft a more advanced alembic, both as a gesture of goodwill and a means to help me recover my memories, since working with my hands kindles familiar feelings. All I require to complete the device are the cores of 3 ice sprites. Though commonly used to reduce the temperatures of alchemical mixtures, there's a way to alter their properties so that they draw the cold within rather than radiate it without. It may sound ridiculous to you, impossible even, yet somehow I know it will work. Sid's science experiment requires me to go kill ice. How are you feeling about this, Alfino? Still talking about how we can ill afford to squander time. Again, I'm going in the wrong direction. But that's fine. One. The default dancer gear being this level of power is a little bit ridiculous. I'm not entirely sure what you're responding to when you say that, but I do agree with it. I'm glad I can retrieve these ice sprite cores from an insane distance. Using the power of my boomerang chakrams. Yeah, it is. I'm just not sure what prompted you to say that you do love destroying that sort of thing. Unless it's just a general statement about what we've been working towards. Like, I don't know if it's a reply to a specific thing that I said or not. Because I was just talking about bread. And tipping your drivers. And food delivery men. And delivery people. And stuff. I mean, I guess we can throw bread at them. If that's the connection. Have you obtained the cores? Sure have. That's fair. I can't be expected to pay attention to things either. What an amazing device! But is it truly an alembic, sir? I've never seen its like before. I too am unsure what to make with this machine. A make of this machine, well, certainly impressive. I have no idea how to make use of it. Nevertheless, if it's as effective as he claims, it would be a great boon to the infirmary. Think of the medicines we could create and the lives we could save. Even so, I wonder. God fucking damn it. Where thee the kindly stranger, bearer of gifts wondrous and strange, for his generosity comes at a cost. I'm literally stalking you. Their earnest efforts are but a means to an as yet unknown end. Moreover, you should be wary of associating with individuals who have interfered with the questioning of a suspected heretic. They did what? Bless you, Inquisitor, for coming along when you did. We almost succumbed to the temptation proffered by these unbelievers. I hate this guy so much. He's just following us around so he can walk into rooms and say, like, these guys fucking suck, bye! I have authority and you don't, sucker! I hate him. I want him to die, and he will eventually, I think. Why does that man detest us so? Is it all because we interrupted Lord Francel's trial? Whatever his reasons, he clearly means to oppose us at every turn. We're literally trying to help the sick here. Come on. Jesus. Before we can persuade Lord Drillamont to help us, it seems we must convince Inquisitor Guillaime that we are not his enemy. But just how might we go about doing that? We know little and less about the good Inquisitor, despite him being such a prominent figure in Coerthas. Perhaps we should learn more by speaking with the people of Whitebrim Front. Share your findings with Alphino in the square. I'm sure he can formulate a strategy from there. Expose this guy as a jerk, fraud, suck guy who is bad. I'm really good at words sometimes. Anyway, what's up? Inquisitor Guillaime? Yes, of course I know of him. Alas, I have not seen him since the day he came to Whitebrim Front several moons ago. My memory is somewhat muddled, but I recall a blizzard nearly buried us in the snow that day, and I had the ill fortune of being assigned to the night's watch. When the stronghold slept, we walked the walls and patrolled the exterior in a darkness black as pitch. My route took me outside the eastern gate at one point, where I caught sight of a silhouette illuminated by the light of the city. Thinking it was a wayward traveler, I cried out and gave chase, but slipped and took a terrible fall. When I woke, it was days later in this very bed where I'd lain recuperating from my injuries ever since. I tried to rescue him, but in the end Inquisitor Guillaime rescued me, carrying my unconscious body to the gates. I owe him my life, madam, and I hope to one day repay his kindness. That seems like false. I might be a little biased, considering I hate this guy, and I know that he's evil. But that doesn't seem real. Yeah, that's also true. Inquisitor Guillaime, I haven't the foggiest of whom you speak, unbeliever. Aye, we learned of your deeds at Witchdrop. I will not be party to whatever dastardly schemes you've hatched against the Inquisitor. Away with you. God damn it. Like, this part is actively frustrating me in story. Wow, a whale. I'm not, like, mad at the game, but I am mad at this character, so I guess I'm engaged, which is good. Under Inquisitor Guillaime's watchful gaze, unprecedented numbers of heretics have been unmasked and brought to justice. That's not suspicious at all. Clearly, the only measure of how great this Inquisitor is the number of people he convicts, regardless of their innocence or guilt. This is some sort of, like, Von Karma kind of situation here. Always trying to get a guilty verdict. They say he goes days without sleep, so great is his devotion. Blessed are we to have such a goodly, righteous man to protect us. You won't be saying that when he accuses you of heresy in 2 seconds. For looking at him funny. or for like considering the color red because it's on the Draconian rosaries. The Holy See has decreed that Inquisitors are the arbiters of Helone's will. They are to be afforded every courtesy and the utmost respect. They are above suspicion and the law, basically, is what we're learning. It kind of sucks. Shiver. In case you've yet to notice, my attire is ill-suited to this climate. That's really funny. I realized it soon after our arrival, but I paid it no mind, as I hoped we might find the Enterprise far faster. Instead, we've wasted far too much time meddling in local affairs. Never mind. Our journey is almost at an end. All that remains is to deal with this irksome Inquisitor. Sid tells me you've been busy making inquiries, yes? It should come as no surprise that he's held in high regard. Even so, I'm beginning to suspect he has other reasons for hindering us now. Let us more closely review the testimonials you obtained, Sucro. Mayhap they will provide insight into Inquisitor Guillaime's motivations. Maybe he's just the worst, and also actually the evil guy. Something troubles me about that Wounded Knight's account. He claims he fell chasing a figure in the darkness that he saw outside the eastern gate, yes? But the main road leads to the southwestern gate. This really is becoming Ace Attorney, because Alphina's finding all the inconsistencies in testimony. Since we've arrived in White Brimfront, I've seen no travelers arrive by the eastern gate. Moreover, he said he glimpsed a silhouette illuminated by the light of the city, which would imply that the Inquisitor came from north of the eastern gate, not south. But it cannot be so. That way lies naught but a deep chasm. Assuming Sir Jolat is not misremembering, the Inquisitor's behavior that night makes absolutely no sense, at least to me. Mayhap retracing his steps will shed light on this mystery. Maybe there's crime. Spoilers, there's crime. There's just always some crime. It wants us to go down there, does it? There is, I think, a safe way to get down here. But never mind. Oh, that's bad. Well, there's the body of a dragon in a suspicious pile of snow, emitting a foul aura. And it's the corpse of another Inquisitor, which looks exactly like the guy who we've been following around, or who's been following us around. Wowie zowie. I forgot about this particular twist, perhaps. Well, and what did we find? An official papal appointment to the position of Inquisitor. Does he look exactly the same? Pretty similar. I think he's a little bit different looking. I guess we're not carrying the body this time. We're only carrying, I feel like the body would actually be really helpful in this case. But apparently not. And we can take the real way you're supposed to get down here, out of here. Probably. Nice of this giant chasm to have a ramp. You found something, didn't you? Don't keep me waiting in suspense. Let's see it. Given the contents of this encyclical, I believe you've just made the acquaintance of the real Inquisitor Guillaime, newly come to Coerthas and murdered on the day of his arrival. It would have been a simple thing to assume his identity, for even if he were to behave oddly, who would dare question the wisdom of a papal appointment? While this is incontrovertible proof that the Inquisitor is an impostor, we have yet to discern his true identity, or why he's decided to oppose us. We must proceed quickly, Sucro, before he learns that his deception has been discovered. Honestly, we should have brought the body, except then people would be like, you killed the Inquisitor! So maybe not. Since Lord Drillamont has already been turned against us, I fear that this encyclical alone will not serve to convince him of our claims. What might persuade a man so quick to disregard the endorsements of two high houses? The cook did say that the Lord listens to and respects the opinions of his knights. If a certain knight were to provide testimony that supports our claim, yep, that's the only way left to us. Confront Sir Jolot with the evidence you have discovered and see if it helps him to recall the truth of that night. As a man of faith, he may find it difficult to cope with such a horrifying revelation. Nevertheless, we must do everything within our power to secure the Enterprise. Alrighty then. This is the wrong way. These buildings are a nightmare. A little bit. Oh, you've returned. Is there something else you wanted to ask? The Inquisitor is an impostor? Don't be preposterous. That could not possibly be true. He's a paragon of virtue, a dedicated servant of the Fury. You'd have me believe that's all a lie? If you're so certain that your ludicrous story is true, then go and speak with Sir Pernilla. She was at the Eastern Gate that night, and she helped the Inquisitor carry me here. But I will never speak against the man who saved my life. Don't be impostorous. Is that a word? That'd be a good word if it was. Hey, what's up? You! I do not believe I know you, madam. Pray move along and trouble me no more. That's suspicious. Are you in the habit of handing bloody documents to strangers? Why would you show me such a dreadful thing? I know not of it, not at all! My instruction is to use the doubt emote on her. I press the X button and shake my finger at you. You know, don't you? Fury take me, I prayed this day would come. When Sir Jolot gave chase, I followed close behind. He didn't fall. One of those Dravanian abominations lashed out at him. Nearly killed him right then and there. I drew my sword and rushed to his side, straining to see the enemy. But what came from the dark was not a beast, but a voice. He knew things about me, about my family. Secrets I'd never told another. He said that if I kept his confidence, Sir Jolot and I would be spared. But if I defied him, everyone I loved would suffer unimaginable horrors before they died. When at last I agreed to his terms, the man came forward. His robes marked him as an inquisitor, but I knew him to be false. Together we carried Sir Jolot to the infirmary. On his first night in Whitebrim front, Inquisitor Guillaime was heralded as a hero. Soon after came the accusations. Countless men and women of good moral standing seized whilst in possession of draconian rosaries. As I feared he was condemning the innocent to death, I wanted to confess to Lord Drillamont. I wanted to put an end to the madness, but then I would remember the Inquisitor's threats, and so I did nothing. Until Lord Francel was accused. Some time ago I followed the Inquisitor and found that he kept draconian rosaries in a chest hidden southeast of Whitebrim front. So I took several from his chest and planted them in shipments bound for Skyfire lots. As I hoped, they were discovered and considered evidence of a conspiracy against House Hyanot, thus exonerating Lord Francel and casting doubt on the other recent trials. And that's the entire truth, I swear. Helone, forgive me for not acting sooner. Well. Seems like a bit of a roundabout plan to plant evidence to make a conspiracy seem evident. Suspicious box. I have a box. It's full of crime. It's full of crime indicators, rather. False crime indicators. You think the, like, Dravanian people are like, gee, we should really stop making these rosaries, huh? Except no, because this guy is a secret dragon ally guy trying to condemn everyone who could defend Ishgard. Pretty sure. So they were just like, hell yeah, make more of those. Just throw them around, like, pass them out like party favors so everyone's dead. It's great. Why do you persist in this folly? I will not grant you access to the stone vigil. Do not make me repeat myself. I have evidence that your life is a lie, and I'm a cat. There had better be a very good explanation for why you were carrying these rosaries, and where did you find this papal encyclical? Fury, take me, the Inquisitor is a heretic. Never before have I heard such an unbelievable tale, but this evidence in your testimony could have no other explanation. I have misjudged you and your friends, Sucro, and for that I deeply apologize. I will permit you to enter the outpost, but first I must needs beg your assistance. Help me and my knights bring this infernal impostor to justice. Well, that was easy. Kinda. I mean, couldn't anyone have given you a box of contraband and a paper that says, like, an ID on it and been like, by the way... But, you know, whatever. Wait a minute. This quest is called The Heretic Among Us. And it's all about an imposter. God. This happened way before Among Us, though. But it's all lining up. No! No! Amogus is here. And there's nothing we can do about it. They predicted it. I don't... Rika just whispered Amogus to me. I have died. Transcending time and space, it's Amogus. Oh boy. Oh boy. That thrice-damned heretic, whose Amogus, has murdered countless innocents and made a mockery of our laws. Hells take him and his Dravanian allies. I am told he makes for Snowcloak even now, intending to pass judgment on yet another poor soul whom he's branded heretic. If we hurry, there still may be time to prevent further tragedy. Yeah, really, Koji Fox Future Sight. Lend me your strength, Sucro. Together let us put it into... I'm still thinking about Amogus. I can't. Help. Let us put it into this imposter's heresy once and for all. I mean... Look, by the nature of the language, it's not that difficult for these various phrases to come together in one place. Oh god, it's the non-Euclidean tower again. Like, it's not that weird to see a phrase about an imposter being among us. Because that is what an imposter by definition does. Is that they impersonate and hide amongst the people who they are impersonating one of. Apparently I'm never going to use the front door because I can never remember where it is. I'm always going to jump off of this tower. And despite all of that about the nature of the English language, it just happens to line up so well with current trending things that, I mean... Wow. Amogus. Honestly, I think I forgot that this dungeon was here because I felt like it was the first dungeon of Heavensward. Here he is, being all sus, like he do. I like this person like crouching stealthily in plain sight. Good to have you with us, miss. When Lord Drillamont arrives, we are to confront the Inquisitor. If he refuses to go quietly, we will need to use force. Are you prepared for that eventuality? Sure am. Time to... I don't know how you win Among Us and point out the imposter, because I've never played it or actually seen any of it. You needn't tremble so, child. The righteous shall enjoy everlasting... You're doing it to a child? You're calling a child a heathen now? Jesus. The righteous shall enjoy everlasting peace in Halone's halls. Only the wicked... But why? Why must I die? By all that is holy, I swear to you that I've never questioned the teachings of Halone. Inquisitor, release the maid and come with us. My Lord Drillamont, what is the meaning of this interruption? You are aware that I am at present conducting an interrogation, are you not? Silence, villain! I name thee heretic, murderer of Inquisitor Guillaime, and countless innocents. You are a traitor to Ishgard, to your own kith and kin. Your sins are beyond measure, and beyond redemption. Shrug. Laugh. Ah, grave allegations indeed, but you will find your logic is flawed. How can I betray that which I owe no allegiance? No, Lord Drillamont, my conscience is quite clear, I assure you. I wonder, can you say the same? You, whose hands are black with the blood of those whose only sin was to question your nation's crazed crusade. You speak to me of Ishgardian innocence? Ha! All are complicit in these crimes, for all live their lives by the Archbishop's lies. But I know you will not hear me, deafened by the dogma as you are. If you desire retribution, Lord Drillamont, then come. Let us see how Ishgardian steel fares against Travanian fang and claw. Wait, really? The real guy didn't have the goatee? The evil twin has a goatee? I didn't notice that. Seriously? That's really funny. Ignorant swine, soon you will know the futility of your faith. I have to say I have fun voicing a villain. These things are labeled as wormhounds. Are these dog? I don't think this is what dog is. It feels nice to have Dancer. My true job is here. Do you see, heretic? You and your allies are no match for the might of Ishgard. How wrong you are, Ishgardian. I've been blessed with power far beyond your kin. Come, my brothers, grant me the strength to smite our enemies. I'm using a skill called Dragon's Blood. Surprise, I'm Dragon! Ha 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 ha! I am reborn, like the realm! Stand your ground, 'tis but an illusion. I think it's a little more than an illusion. His health bar did kind of refill. I mean, you gotta give him credit for that. A dragon stands before you. You still do not flee. Your magics have no power over me, heretic. There's also just a wyvern here. Wait, what? God, what? Hey. Okay. Fine. I guess we're doing it on very easy then, because the NPC died while I was fine. I'm not supposed to heal him. What? Okay. Anyway, whatever. I don't really have the means to keep a dingus alive in my state. I have a cure move, but I can't use it because it's too high level for this level synced bit. And I'm the DPS class, which aren't supposed to be expected to be able to keep people alive at all, ever. Like, was I supposed to notice and kill the wyvern super fast then? I guess the wyvern was probably fighting him. It doesn't matter too much. He's still running off to get himself destroyed. Hello. Drillamont over here is still getting beaten up pretty good. So I don't know what... It cannot be! It be, though. Well, no shame in having to set the difficulty down because the NPC died. Oh, it was really an illusion. My glamour's dispelled. Your plans lie in ruin, heretic. Choose your words wisely, for they will be your last. Ha! You may not recall the many Ishgardians I've sentenced, but the families of the dead will never forget. Blood has been repaid with blood, and for that I am content. My only regret is that you yet live. And he's gonna stare directly at me, right? But your end is nigh, foreigner. The dragons within the stone vigil will rend you asunder, and when you're dead, Whitebrim front shall fall. And now I am dead. Goodbye. Defiant to the last, leave the body for the crows. His ilk deserves not better. Well. Sucro, I must apologize for involving you in this sordid business. You should never have been asked to intervene in Ishgardian affairs of state. Rest assured, I've not forgotten the matter which first brought you into our midst. It's past time you were reunited with your airship. But this is not the place to discuss such matters, even though we're right outside the entrance to the dungeon. Pray visit me at Whitebrim Front and bring your associates. Nod. We would have you do a little bit more running back and forth before allowing you to proceed. It's Ishgardian custom, though I see you have observed it frequently in your land as well. You know, I could teleport. No, actually you can't teleport here. So we've dealt with the imposter who was among us. That's not me making a reference. That's the name of the quest. It's the heretic among us. I'm still shook by this, as they say. a localization before its time, to be sure. I think I'm gonna wrap up this part and unlock the dungeon, and then that'll probably be a good place to call it. Where have you been, Sucro? The false Inquisitor has been slain, has he? Well, yes, well, his was a tale always like to end in bloodshed. Though you've overcome the latest in a long line of unfortunate impediments, I would ask you not to revel in your victory just yet. We can celebrate once we've secured the Enterprise. I don't remember the origins of exit pursued by a bear, if there are any. As I'm sure you will agree, it's past time we enter the Stone Vigil. Pay Lord Drillamont a visit and remind him of his obligation to us. Sid and I will follow anon. Back up the nonsense tower that I can never find the entrance to after I enter it. For some reason. Sneaky Rika hugs before fleeing. Like, how is it so difficult? Is this 2 towers connected or something? Like, it's literally just down 2 floors. Oh, it's because I never noticed that there's still stairs there. Oh, I see. That's good. We all owe you a great debt of gratitude. Had it not been for you, the heretic masquerading as Inquisitor Guillaime would still be among us. Would still be among us, free to prey upon the innocent. I see now that I was a fool to dismiss your claims out of hand. But you must understand, it seemed too much to hope that the scions of the Seventh Dawn still lived, to say nothing of Master Garland. Never have I been happier to be proven wrong. Well, it is gratifying to know that someone has derived a measure of enjoyment from your error. Now, if you have no further objections, we would appreciate it if you'd permit us to enter the Stone Vigil and retrieve our airship. Yes, of course. It's the very least I can do, given all that you've done for us. But entering the outpost is the least of your concerns, I fear. You speak of the Dravanians that now hold the ruin. In part, yes. I should explain. Shortly after you first arrived, I had my men scour the old records. They confirmed that an abandoned airship had been seized by the soldiers garrisoned at the Stone Vigil in the days following the calamity. As far as we've been able to ascertain, it was still in their custody when the outpost was overrun by the dragons. Whether it was damaged or destroyed during the battle, I cannot say, nor can I give you any assurances that it's not been removed in the intervening years. For far too long, the ruin has served as a Dravanian foothold in Coerthas, from which they've struck out with us with depressing regularity. Though we had pushed them back behind the walls, we have as yet been unable to drive them out, and I cannot say when the situation will change. Or how it will change. Forgive me, Lord Drillamont, but there's no guarantee that you will prevail. In any event, we have not the time to wait. We will secure our property without ishgardian aid. I'm a cat, and I'm going to destroy everything. I see. Well, that may be for the best. I will inform Sir Natherlane of your impending visit. May Helone guide you, scions. Almost. Back to the dungeon entrance. Let's see if I can find the downward staircase several times this time. It really does kind of blend in. Like, I rotated my camera around this room a million times trying to find the staircase. And if you look at it from this angle, it just looks like that butts up against the wall, but it's actually the staircase. So I was just being silly this whole time. But I suppose that's fine. Sometimes it's okay to be silly. Honestly, it's always okay to be silly. To some degree. Maybe not when you should be very serious about whatever situation you're in. But silly in the sense of not being able to find a staircase down is acceptable. What's this person's chocobo named? Emblem. Not a bad name. Oh, I guess we weren't next to the dungeon. We were next to a different dungeon that we go to later. My mistake. Hail, Sucro! Lord Drillamont has apprised me of the situation. You may enter the stone vigil whensoever you will. Hooray! Finally, we're getting somewhere. In Ishgard. However, unfortunately, I need to stop now. Because I need to go, like, eat food. Unfortunately, that is still a thing you need to do in life. Speaking of which, all of you should make sure to get something to eat today. Hydrate, take your meds, all that sort of things. All that sort of things. Good English. Make sure to take care of yourselves, because you're all important. And also, thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. As usual, if you should wish to support me in some way, you may find various ways to do so below the stream, or around the stream. And you can always just spread the word. Do all the usual internet engagement things. But of course, your viewership as it is a great kind of support too. Look at this plant. Look at this little tree here. There's two of them. Anyway, yeah, thank you for watching. Good night, everyone. I hope the rest of your day is good.